NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series, 1000bulbs.com, 500 from Talladega Superspeedway. Plenty of storylines as we're right in the middle of the round of 12. For those, we go pit road for Kelly Stavast.
Well, Rick, a win last week means pressure is off for Chase Elliott and this 9 team. They are through to the next round of the playoffs. And this could be the perfect opportunity to get aggressive and go for win number 3 of 2018. Crew Chief Alan Gustafson told me Chase is not just good, but great at this style of racing. And on top of that, he appears to have a pretty fast race car. Chase Elliott qualified 5th, Parker.
Well, Kelly, the pressure is on Ryan Blaney and this 12 team. They come into this Talladega race 10 points to the good above the cut line. And therefore, if they want to get forward past this round, they've got to get stage points. What's the strategy they're going with? Handling over speed. They told me they weren't that disappointed with their qualifying speed because they feel like handling is going to be important. Track temps already above 105 degrees at this point, Dave.
Parker, some say attitude is everything, and when Joey Logano comes to Talladega, he is in a good mood. Why? He's won here before. He's very good at this discipline. He has another Fast Four this weekend and 31 points to the good on the cut line. So why in the world, if you're Joey Logano, wouldn't the fun meter be set to high? Marty?
Hey, Dave, for Kurt Busch, he told me yesterday it took me 20 years to get my first ever restrictor plate pole, but I finally did it. And he told me today I'm not planning on wasting that speed. But Parker mentioned it a moment ago. At Talladega today, there's going to be a balance of speed and needing to handle. We're expecting temperatures near 85 degrees. Kurt told me, I don't think we dialed out too much handling in this car. I expect the 41 to be up front all day long, Rick.
Thanks, Marty. Now, the anxiety level has to be at its highest right before the engines are fired, or are you more comfortable when you get in the car?
As soon as you climb in. These guys think about this race leading up to this week, and then they finally get to the racetrack. The unknowns and anxiety is really, really high on Friday. On Saturday, they don't get to draft. They don't get to work in practice to see what kind of car they have. And so finally, you know, you get into the car, you're getting ready to do your job. You start to visualize the success you're going to have that day, and the nerves start to fade away, and the confidence starts to build.
Yeah, for me, this was the race that I never slept the night before. I was nervous before this race because there's a good chance I'm going to get a wreck that I didn't even cause. So all the people around me, they're going to put me in a situation that I was uncomfortable with. So I'm with Junior. You fire that engine up, and then now you focus on the race. You forget all that other stuff. Now you can focus on trying to win the race and accomplish the goals you're trying to get.
Offense and defense. Junior, you were always aggressive, but you always defended your position.
Yeah, I love being up front. I had the most success trying to lead every lap. That's not realistic. You're not going to lead every lap, but trying to. That's the best strategy.
Well, let's get the engines fired. We go trackside for the command.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Here to give the command, please welcome our Grand Marshal, CEO of 1000bulbs.com, Kim Pedersen.
Drivers, start your engines and get lit.
If you can have a favorite for a race at Talladega, well, history would say it would be a Penske driver because they have won 75% of the last 8 races.
You just try to focus and shut everybody else out.
That was awesome.
We want to win races, and we want to put ourselves in position to win the championship.
3 in a row. It's a thing, baby.
Everybody turns up the wick. Everybody's got to figure out how to be on top of their game.
Hell yeah.
Hope that, yeah, some things go your way, because they're going to have to at some point if you want to make it through.
Things are going to have to go your way if you want to find victory lane at the end of this race. And let's take a look at the starting grid, which is brought to you by KFC. It's gone Stewart-Haas Racing's way, at least the start of the weekend, because they have the first 4 starting positions. Kurt Busch got his first ever plate pole. Kevin Harvick, fastest lap that was turned this weekend, over 204 miles an hour in practice.
Yeah, Rick, behind them is Hendrick Motorsports. They take up row 3 and row 4. A lot of talk about can Hendrick Motorsports gather up, gang up to try to help Alex Bowman win this race.
Behind those guys, 2 Gibbs cars. Kyle Busch, what's he going to do today? What's his strategy? Also, what's Martin Truex Jr.'s strategy? Both those guys got a lot of points. Good cushion going into this race.
And we always say the word unpredictable when you talk about Talladega. Guys like David Reagan have won here at this racetrack where maybe an underfunded team has an opportunity if you get in the right lane and make the right decisions.
As we move further back in this grid, think about that row 10. That's 2 Penske guys. They always have speed here, but they're going to have to come from mid-pack to make it happen.
We mentioned Penske guys. Let's see if we can pull in one of the Penske drivers, one of the best at this racetrack, a 5-time winner, Brad Keselowski on the radio.
Hey, Brad, it's the NBC booth. Will you with us, bud?
Yes, sir. Got you, Jeff.
Well, bud, you're so much fun to watch here because you're so aggressive. Are we going to see more of that today?
You got to be. I mean, you just can't win these races kind of, well, gagging around like my dad would tell me. So you got to push hard and find a way to get to the front. We're committed to doing that with Miller Lite Ford.
A lot of talk about the speed the Stewart-Haas cars have. You guys didn't have it, but do you think that's because of trying to make the car drive a little better?
Yeah, it's always a difficult balance, especially on impound races of, race speed versus qualifying speed. So, we've certainly been working on all that, trying to find the right balance, and we'll see in the race if we got it.
Well, we appreciate you letting us ride along with you, bud. Good luck today. Have fun.
Be a great ride. Thanks for joining, and hope those watching have a good time. It's going to be quite a show.
We got the in-car cameras this weekend, and Brad Keselowski's carrying the Ford Performance. He's got the reverse driver that we see there. That'll be a lot of fun to seeing him drive that car through the pack. Kyle Larson's carrying the Chevrolet camera. He's got a side panner, so aside from this roof cam, we'll see some great shots off the right side of his car as he's battling for position. AJ Allmendinger carries a Kroger clickless camera. He also has the roof and side panner. And Joey Logano in the Coca-Cola cam with the reverse driver, just like his teammate Brad Keselowski. There he is. Good shot of Joey. And Kevin Harvick in the Jimmy John's camera, the roof cam, and also with a side panner on his car. And then Ricky Stenhouse. And for more on this camera, let's go down to Marty.
Hey guys, inside the Ricky Stenhouse Jr. car, you see the Thanks Mikey stickers. Those are for our director, Mike Wells. Today marks a big day for us at NBC Sports because it's the end of an era with Mike Wells doing his final NASCAR race. There you see him in our TV truck, live from the TV truck. For 37 years, no one has directed more motorsports television than Mike Wells. His first NASCAR race, 1981 at Rockingham Speedway. He's gone on to direct some of the most memorable moments in NASCAR history for NBC, ESPN, ABC, Turner Sports, and others. He's directed everything from Olympics to the NFL, but NASCAR racing has always been home. To those who know, Mikey is preamble to get the crew fired up before the race, still the best in the game, and his signature snap for a camera change is unmistakable. His mantle is filled with 21 Emmy Awards, but more importantly, his mark on this sport is indelible, literally inventing the way you see motorsports television. Mike's not going far. He'll still be at the helm with NBC Sports when we have the 103rd running of the Indianapolis 500 next May. We can't wait for that. Mike has always said, my job is to capture the moments. My friend, for 37 years, nobody's done it better than you. On behalf of the millions who have watched your pictures and from the thousands of us who have been blessed enough to call you a friend and work with you over these years, Mike Wells, we say thank you and all the best to you and your lovely bride, Kathy, in your retirement.
What an incredible job he has done for 4 decades. Mike Wells on his last race. You know, race car spelled backwards is race car.
NASCAR Heat 3 is available now on the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC. Go to NASCARHeat.com today.
You have to find another gear. How do we get a little bit more? How do we get to that next step?
You got to put it all on the line. You got to be more everywhere.
The focus and the spotlight is right on you. And you know it, you feel it.
It's so easy to get caught up in somebody else's mess. There's so many wild cards.
If you make one bad move, you go to the back, you start over. And it's hard to race that way there.
It's easy for mistakes to happen and ruin your day. So you just got to be perfect.
Still think when I strap in there, sometimes it's a 50-50 shot, whether I finish the race or not.
Yeah, baby! I love winning here. To me, it's all about you got to beat the best in order to be the best.
That's
the adrenaline rush that comes with what we do, and there's no better feeling.
When it becomes game time, when the pressure's on, you got to rise to the occasion.
Anticipating the green flag here in just a few moments. Before that flies, let's go to Steve Letarte, who's at the patio of the Peacock Pit Box.
Yeah, Rick, my home today will be down here at the end of Pit Road exit on the Peacock Pit Box. It's going to be a great view. It reminds me of my days of a crew chief. But you talk about Talladega and 500 miles. Let's talk about how this race is broken down. So when we take a look at Talladega, it is the biggest and the fastest track, the biggest super speedway we will see. These cars will run well over 200 miles an hour, 2.66 miles, the biggest and the most high banks, 188 laps for a total of 500 miles. That 500 miles is broken down into stages. Stage 1 and Stage 2, both 55 laps, so a little bit shorter stages, but the third and final stage is well over that, 78 laps, a fuel window 45 to 48 laps. We talk about 500 miles, but think of this, guys. The closing laps of this race, 25 times. The race has been decided with a last lap pass, and half of the playoff races, Rick, have gone to overtime. It may be 500 miles, but you cannot miss the last 4 or 5 miles. They are packed with excitement.
Packed with excitement, and normally there's chaos involved, and one of our crew members experienced a little chaos yesterday in the Camping World Truck Series race. He actually finished the second stage in the 9th position, but then in the 75, take a look. This is Parker Kligerman, gets caught up in the incident. Right about here, the throttle has now hung. He is going wide open and into the wall. On the inside, multiple hits for Parker Kligerman, and he gingerly got out of that truck and then laid down. Parker, how are you feeling today?
Well, it hurts to watch that again, Rick. That's really tough to see, and those were some of the hardest hits I've ever had in my entire career. And, you know, we say all the time that this racetrack is a game of chance, right? Well, there's always a chance you're going to be a part of that big one. As you saw there, I had nothing to do with the initial wreck, but there was nowhere for me to go, and then I was a passenger having some of the hardest hits and actually got the pedals moved about 6 inches inside that car to hit my ankles, my knees. Thankfully, I wasn't that injured, just some bruises down here and a couple of cuts, and able to walk away from it. But you know what? I was talking to Jimmy Johnson on the driver's stand before driver intros, and he turned to me and asked me about it, and I said all the things that happened. He said, oh, thanks for reminding me of the dangers that occur at this place and how fast these cars are going and some of the things that can happen.
Parker, we're just thankful that you're all right and back here, I guess, at work on pit road. And guys, what's it like?
But that's Talladega. He won that race last year and crashed this year and got injured. That's what you expect as a driver at Talladega. You hate that part of it, but it's the reality of racing here.
Absolutely. I'm just glad he's okay. That shot on the inside wall was a tremendous shot and moved the clutch pedal and the brake pedal all the way up into the dash. And I just was happy that, you know, he didn't get injured there, and he's here working today.
But we know that chaos can ensue at this racetrack. Well, it's time now for today's Fresh Take, brought to you by Subway. The one thing that you have to know is how to manage the air at this racetrack. How do you look at the air, and how do you manipulate it with your car?
Well, Dale Jr., your dad was one of the first guys that really figured out how to make this work. Well, side drafting is going to be huge today. Quite simply, this is how it works. The air flows over the car as it's going forward. The inside car pulls up to the quarter panel of the car on the outside. It shoves all the air off of the nose of the car on the inside and just dumps it on the rear spoiler of the outside car, creating a tremendous amount of drag and slowing that car down as you're trying to pass it.
Yeah, it slows down the car that you're trying to side draft, and we're going to take a look at how that looks on the racetrack. This is me right here. I'm going to get on that quarter panel, that 11 car, Denny Hamlin, and side draft that quarter panel, slow him down. Look at how it creates space in front of his car. It slows him down and allows me to move forward and try to side draft the 22. You see that space that it creates? Now I'm going to go away from Denny so he cannot side draft me. All right? So look at this space here. I'm waiting on the 19 to come up. He's going to side draft Denny as well. Then I'm going to come down the racetrack. I'm going to get on the quarter panel of that 22 car and do the same exact thing. And as I get on him, you'll see the space it creates in between the 22 and the 3. I'm going to get away from the 22 so he cannot side draft my car and slow me down. And that's how it works.
And the whole time that's going on, you're not actually going faster. You're actually slowing that guy down. So the whole key is to get as close as you can. It's a big difference between being 1 inch and 6 inches away, which, unfortunately, Rick, is why we see a lot of wrecks here.
Yes.
It is. It's a great tool, though. It is the most important tool that these drivers will use all day long. Whoever wins this race will have to use that side draft throughout the entire event.
The other thing we can expect to see a lot of blocking. We saw at the race at Daytona in July, Brad Keselowski got really upset. He said William Byron made a block he shouldn't have made. He said, I'm not going to put up with that today, but all day long, if you're going to win this race, you see a run coming, you're going to have to pull in front of him. You have to stop that advance. That puts you and that line in danger, but there is no other way but to be aggressive.
Yeah, there's a huge argument or discussion in the garage about what blocking is. What is blocking and what's not. And in my opinion, and a lot of other drivers' opinion, if you can make that move early to where the driver can prepare for it, it's not a dirty block. If you move it, if you make the move late and the guy that you're blocking has nothing, he can't do anything to survive it, and he gets turned around off the bumper of the car behind him, that is a dangerous block.
All right, 40 cars strong, 2 by 2, as they get ready to take the green flag and get this race underway at Talladega. It's always great to listen to the communication of the teams. We're going to listen to our team leader, our director, Mike Wells, as he cuts the pictures at the start of this race at Talladega.
Crowd on 3. Crowd in the cars. Crowd in the cars, Pony. Ready to dissolve 3. Dissolve 3. Push on in 3. Ready to dissolve 8. Push on in. Ready to dissolve 8. And dissolve 8. You'll pan with it, George. 333. 333. First side by side, Chris. And 34. 34. Take 4. Ready 45 to 46 to 5. Ready 45. 45. Ready 46. 46. Ready 5. Take 5. First side by side. Ready 55. Ready to frame on 55. Ready 55 to 55. Go to first side by side. Pan. Take 6. Take 6. First side by side. Ready 16. Take 16. Good side by side. 3. And take 3.
Communication is paramount at Talladega.
We saw a lot of communication on that restart, that first initial start with the Stewart-Haas teams all working together to get in line on the front. You see them. They're pulling away, Jeff.
Yeah, that line is, you see 4 Stewart-Haas cars, but when they did that, what also happened was it put 4 Hendrick cars in line as well. There's Jimmy Johnson trying to get to the back of William Byron in that yellow 24 car. Here comes Jimmy Johnson with some help from Chase Elliott.
208 miles an hour we just saw out of Jimmy Johnson's car, and problems for David Ragan. No power on the 38.
Huge disappointment for that team. David Ragan's a really good plate racer, going really slow down the back straightaway. This is a place where they can put themselves in contention and win. Had trouble early in the race, devastating.
Be interested to see if he can get that car around the pit road, gets off the racetrack safely without creating a caution situation.
Look at this inside line. This inside line is really formed up nicely.
Let's look at what happened to David Ragan off of turn 4. There he is. He's going to do it. When he realizes this, watch how quickly he gets out of line. He's losing power. He's losing power. He gets off the nose of the 2 car. Really saves all those guys behind him. Brad was just getting ready to make contact. That would have made a chain reaction, possibly a crash. Really, really smart move. Kelly.
David Ragan telling his team just now that he shut it down, refired it. It came back to life for just a second, but then it's showing low oil pressure, so he's going to bring that 38 car down to pit road.
That's you know, the computer in the car is just not going to let it fire if it's showing low oil pressure. But back on the racetrack, look at that inside line. They've driven away. They've got formed up nicely. Now they're driving away side by side behind them with Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin. They're going to need to get this sorted out. Really, really surprised, Junior, this early in the race that the front of the pack has been so organized and so disciplined to get them single file.
Yeah, 2 guys side by side will slow each other down, and that creates that gap to the cars up front in single file. And the 18's going to break through. He's going to get a push to break through away from his teammate. Then he's going to actually fall back. Allow the 78 to clear as well, but he gets that push. He's back on the quarter panel of 78 there.
33 cars were over 200 miles per hour on that last lap, Marty.
And Rick, there's going to be a lot of different agendas in the field today. Martin Truex Jr., one of the big 3 that we've talked about all year long. With all those those extra bonus points, they may ride today. You see them right now in the 10th position, but if they get shuffled to the back, they'll likely stay there. Cole Pern telling me I think that's the wiser move. A lot of aggressive people up front. I don't want to be in that mix. I'm confident in the bonus points we have going to Kansas next week.
Yeah, Marty, I think right now the 78 is evaluating. Right now it's calm. No big deal. Right here, single file in front. Nobody's gotten crazy. See Kyle Busch trying to jump up on the outside of Alex Bowman, trying to get that outside lane working. Martin Truex Jr., he's not afraid to go with it and try to get it working.
He's going to give that 18 a big push, and the 43 of Bubba Wallace gets out of line on the high side there. You see that. Jumping on the outside of Martin Truex Jr., though, is Denny Hamlin, putting Martin in the middle, 3 wide. That's going to break up this outside line. Denny's got a great run in the back of his teammate.
Yeah, Denny moved all the way to the back of the 18. I thought that wasn't a good move for Denny, but he did a good job. Now, Kyle Busch has got to find a way to get backed up to the 11, to get them lined up, to get some momentum on the outside lane.
That shuffling around has brought them back a few cars. They were up beside Alex Bowman a lap ago, and see, it's brought them back a couple positions. They need to stay in line when Denny gets that run. He needs to try to push the guy in front of him and try to make that line work.
See Kyle Busch, he jumped to the bottom.
He's being very aggressive.
Yeah, then immediately got a run and then jumped on the outside of the 2 car, knowing that Denny Hamlin would go with him.
Marty. We'll go to Marty.
Hey guys, you see Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, and also Ryan Blaney have hooked up together. I think the rest of the field would love to break them up, but Team Penske loves to work together here. Jeff, they made an interesting decision before qualifying yesterday. They went with a package they feel like will handle better. They gave up speed to do that, but Burton, on an 85-degree day at Talladega, you got to handle and give up a little bit of speed.
Interesting move by Daniel Suarez to pull up in front of his teammate, Kyle Busch, and get out of line. Trying to get help from all his teammates here, all 4 Toyotas together. Parker.
Well, guys, I've got my eye there on the 11 of Denny Hamlin, because when he got done with practice yesterday, he made a comment that he felt like he could suck up and push cars better than ever. So I believe right now when he's getting the 18, I've been looking to see if he's able to break that bubble like he does right there and actually get into the back of the 18. That could be really impressive come later, Steve.
Yeah, Parker, we're only 7 or 8 laps in, but we just heard Marty talk about the Fords working together. It wouldn't shock me if we see him on pit road early here in stage 1.
Jeffrey Earnhardt just coming off of the racetrack, and that will bring the caution out at Talladega for the first time.
No, didn't hit anything.
He's got, it looks like a right rear tire down.
Yeah, he's got left rear tire flat, I think. Spun the car around. You see the hood's popped up. A lot of the safety things that we have on these cars is flaps in the hood and so forth. Puts a lot of pressure under that hood when that car spins around, and it'll pull that hood up.
It's knocked the flaps out of the hood as well.
Yep.
But you can run without those, because if they're not there, if the flaps aren't there, it's not a safety problem. If
he might have 4 flat tires, Steve.
Well, Rick, the interesting thing is I was starting to hear some noise on the scanner that some of these Ford drivers were talking about coming to pit road already. Well, I think this yellow might actually throw a wrench in their plan. They would have much rather pitted under green, re-entered the racetrack as a group, maybe 8 or 10 Fords. Now I expect every car in the field to come to pit road. Pit road is going to be busy, and we need to watch for gas only, 2 tires in and out of these pit box. Dale Jr., Burton, you know how important it is to protect those fenders on these early pit stops.
It's really crowded on pit entry. Gets really, really crowded. You're going to have to be careful.
Let's take a look and see what happened to Jeffrey here coming through the tri-oval. See his car. He just spins. It's hard to tell from that point if he did have a flat tire or not, but we have seen guys spin out in that tri-oval. If the cars aren't handling well, which we've heard all the drivers talk about, that is where it's going to be the worst in that flatter tri-oval.
Marty.
And guys, like Steve was talking about, there actually has been in the last few restrictor plate races and again this morning an all-in crew chief meeting among the 4 teams. And yes, Steve, you were right. They were planning on coming on lap 13, but everybody's going to come down pit road. So throwing a little bit of a wrench into the Ford plan, but everybody's going to come down pit road right here.
And with 44 laps to go till the end of the stage, Steve told us earlier that everyone can make it on fuel then. They've got about 45 laps that they can go on a tank of fuel. And you see the crew members getting ready. Now it becomes that team sport that everyone talks about. The guys that have to go over the wall and have a perfect stop to make sure you get back out on track in the position you came in.
And you need a great stop because all these teams, they've found a way to work together. If somebody has a bad stop, it will immediately separate them.
Got to watch for speeding. 12 speeding penalties here in April. You want to stay under the speed limit. Dave.
Clint Boyer comes in second. He's going to take just a little more time here because he wants a chassis adjustment. For some reason, the 14 car a little bit loose at the start of this run. Marty?
For Eric Almirola, just hitting his pit stall. Going to be no tires here. He said it finishes the corner really well. A little too free on entry. His teammate Kurt Busch already gone. A wedge adjustment. His car was too tight. Brad Keselowski said to him, it looked like the majority of the field had to race cars that were way too tight, Rick.
Almost everyone, no tires, so fuel-only stops for almost everyone as they raced off a pit row. That was brought to you by Kroger Click List.
Join the drive against breast cancer. Tweet #IDrive4 and Chevy will contribute $5 to the American Cancer Society.
Tonight, Sunday Night Football, Patrick Mahomes and the undefeated Chiefs are going to visit Tom Brady and the Patriots. Football night in America, 7 Eastern, and kick off at 8:20 p.m. tonight, only on NBC. Couple drivers that have a vested interest in these two teams.
Sunday Night Football on NBC. It'd be the Patriots versus this team that Clint Boyer always talks about that I have yet to hear of.
My Kansas City Chiefs, these are the Pat guys? No way. No way. Kansas City Chiefs over New England, hands down.
Make a pick is no pick. It's the simple one. It's a no-brainer. It's over. Tom Brady and the Patriots.
Logano, a New Englander, and Clint Boyer from Kansas, showing their pride in their teams. Chiefs looking pretty good. Actually, we're going to have an opportunity to enjoy Sunday Night Football next week. Kansas Speedway, just 23 miles from Arrowhead Stadium. And we get ready for the restart. We'll see if Stewart-Haas Racing has the choreography that we saw in the initial start of the race.
If they do, the 41 is the control car. He may pull down in front of his teammate. The 4 may pull down in front of the 10 of Eric Almirola.
And the 10 was dragging a little bit, trying to hold that inside lane up. Perfect workmanship. That'll become harder as this race goes on because the guys behind them aren't going to take it. They're going to push immediately when that green flag drops. It'll get much more difficult.
We saw choreography like this at Indianapolis last year. It didn't end up working out for Kyle Busch and Martin Truex Jr., where they wrecked after they decided, all right, no more choreography.
So plate racing used to be about just taking care of your own self and worrying about what you need to do. The Gibbs guys came in several years ago with the Toyotas and started working together and having success in doing it, controlling the races, controlling the front of the races, the restarts, just like we're seeing the Stewart-Haas guys do. And that's what plate racing has become now, where the teams and organizations and the manufacturers all try to work together all day long.
The 4 Stewart-Haas Racing cars all still in the playoffs, so all still a chance at the championship at season's end.
That makes it so much easier for these guys now. They're the front 4 positions, and they'll work together to keep helping each other and control this bottom line and speed this bottom line. It'll be so hard for the outside line to get up there and pass them.
Look who's building, though, on the outside. We mentioned that organizations working together. We have William Byron in the 24 out there, but Penske's lining up behind him.
Yeah, great push from Brad Keselowski right there. If there's one guy that doesn't know how to get to the front and help William Byron take this lead, it's Brad Keselowski.
And look at this. Falling back, it looks like the 21 of Paul Menard. And Paul Menard has an issue coming out of 4. Heard him just say something was broke.
He's running 16th. He was in the middle of the pack. Drove into turn 3. See right there in the outside lane. Fortunately, he was in the outside lane. Right there, you see it bottoming out. Look how low the bottom of the car, the back of the car is.
These guys come to pit road. Sometimes they take rounds out of the car to get the back even lower after it goes through tech. Well, if they made those adjustments to that car and he doesn't like it, Kelly.
Hey, Junior, another car to keep your eye on is the 88 of Alex Bowman. It was a busy time there on pit road, and it looked like the 88 may have made some contact, leaving his pit box there with the 32 of Matt DiBenedetto. We saw damage on the 32 for sure, and then the 88 felt like they had some right front damage. His teammate Jimmy Johnson took a look at it, didn't think it was bad enough to bring him back down pit road. They haven't seen any tire smoke, but still keeping an eye on it. So just how busy was it when everyone came under that caution? Well, Alex's teammate Chase Elliott summed it up pretty well.
That was some chaos there. Wow. Yeah. I was worried about that one.
So it proves there's nothing straightforward, even about fuel-only stops here at Talladega.
That Stewart-Haas bunch out front is really controlling the tempo of this race. As you see these guys strung out, the outside lane is falling all the way back with Joey Logano out front. They are not able to get up here and challenge the Stewart-Haas guys because they're working so well together.
Joey Logano now in that inside lane. But what's so difficult is that now he's jumping on the outside with his teammate. At some point, they'll run this front pack down, but what are they going to do when they catch them? And what so far has happened is they just haven't had the discipline to stay in line. They also haven't used that side draft that we talked about before the race started. They haven't used that very aggressively. They're going to have to step that up if they want to beat this pack on the inside. 37 laps to go in stage one, still time, but as that rat gets closer and closer to the end of that stage, you'll see the side draft and pick up.
Dave. You guys see the 22 of Logano now pulling ahead of the group just a little bit. They did make a chassis adjustment on that pit stop, tried to free the 22 car up just a little bit, try to get some of that straight line and drivability speed that they may not have had in qualifying. Remember, he started outside the top 10, Marty.
Dave, you see Joey Logano looking in the mirror. Who was he looking for? That white car right behind him that just gave him a shot. His teammate Brad Keselowski, the Team Penske cars trying to hook up together. And one interesting thing that Brad noticed towards the end of that run, remember, that was only 11 green flag laps. If it stays green, everybody can make it to the end of the stage. He said everybody else starting to get tight. We are just starting to get good in that 2 car. So, Jeff, they made that decision to go for handling. We'll see if that pays off towards the end of this run.
Well, it should start to matter now that you have more laps on tires, 19 laps, some of those are caution. But check out as we ride with Joey Logano. Look at his eyeballs. Look at what he's doing. Constantly looking in that mirror. He's trying to understand exactly where Brad wants to go. He wants to make sure that they stay lined up. He wants Brad on his rear bumper, and he wants to put that car where Brad wants to go because he knows that if they work together better, they will run that front back down. They're going to run them down. I'm so excited to see when they get to them. What are they going to do? Are they going to jump up on the outside of them, or are they going to stay in line and stay calm? I say they make a move. Joey Logano is always aggressive.
7 cars pulled away, but now they're starting to get reeled back in.
These cars have been driving really hard for these guys all weekend. They were worried about how they would handle in the traffic, and we saw an issue with the 78 car before the caution came out. Let's take a look at what happened to Truex, and he's running by himself here. So there's smart Truex, and look, he's behind 2 cars, Suarez and Denny Hamlin, and watch closely off of turn 2. It's tight and loses the back. Had to chase the car all the way to the fence to stay out of trouble there. Almost spun out, running by himself. 10 laps into the race. That's how difficult these cars are to drive.
Well, 7 cars have now been caught. There's Martin Truex Jr. moving out 3 wide. You saw that as now they're going 2 by 2 back here a little bit further.
They've caught that pack when they got to him. They really didn't make that move. Here goes Joey Logano trying to side draft that 9 car, but the 9 car jumped up on the outside of his teammate William Byron. Let's see what the 22 does. He's going to move to the bottom and run that 9 car out of the line. No, he's not. Now he's going with him. See, Joey Logano has that option because he knows he has 2 teammates behind him. He knows wherever he goes, those guys are going to go with him.
There you see the Penske cars all together, trying to figure out a way to get up here into the front of this line. The problem with all this, Jeff, is that the fastest 4 cars are at the front of the field, and they're working together. Not only trying to pass the fastest car, but the fastest 4 cars in the field are leading this whole draft.
And you see the 24 car, William Byron on the bottom. Everybody jumped onto the outside and went with Keselowski.
Look at how far they've fallen back. I mean, the speed in the Stewart-Haas cars is ridiculous. I mean, they're literally breaking the draft. We haven't seen that in years.
And that handling you were talking about with the 78 car, right now, these cars in the front, they're not having any problems. They're just single file, nobody side by side, nobody on the outside. That's going to change as this race moves on.
Now it's a 6-car pack. They're trying to separate themselves from the field. Out front, the Monster Energy car. Monster Energy Cup Series racing from Talladega Superspeedway. Kurt Busch continuing to lead, and like the Pied Piper, he has pulled away from the pack. I want to take a look at some Outback curbside takeaways from Talladega. As this pack continues to move away, we mentioned Ford. By the way, Stewart-Haas Racing is Ford. They have won the last 6 races at Talladega. 11 first-time winners have found victory lane at Talladega, and Stewart-Haas drivers, we mentioned how they swept the top 4 qualifying positions, and they're taking advantage of that.
You can see as we're riding along. Kyle Busch is having trouble with his car handling. Joey Logano driving underneath him. You could hear Joey Logano lifting, keeping from running into the back of the 18 car. So, again, that's single file that Kyle Busch is having trouble with handling with his car. When it gets double wide and gets crazy aggressive, how difficult are these cars going to be to drive?
I can't believe that he was having such a hard time getting off of that corner. I saw him go wide off turn 4 the lap before, but didn't know if that was just a move of him trying to create some energy from the cars behind him. But he's really having trouble trying to keep that car on the bottom. He's going to lose this draft right here and fall all the way back to these other guys. We talked about it at the top of the show. Look at the Penske cars. Where are they? They've ran up toward the front of the pack, and we're late into a run. All these guys have old tires on. They went with handling over speed, and it seems to be paying off as they closed in on the Stewart-Haas team.
Well, they're taking away from that lead pack, and as we mentioned in takeaways, Outback curbside. You know, if Kevin Harvick places in the top 10 today, you get a free Bloomin' Onion with purchase on Bloomin' Monday. And Kevin Harvick still running up there in the top 4.
So we talked about that trial earlier, how difficult it is. Look at the 22 car dancing around. We're on with the 2 car. Brad Keselowski, see moving that wheel, how much work it is? That trial is difficult. That lower lane has less making than the rest of the racetrack. And, you know, again, we just aren't that far along. We 29 laps on tires, 26 still to go. That's only become more of an issue as this race rolls on.
Steve, what are you seeing down there from the Peacock pit box?
Well, you guys have pointed out how well Ford is working together, currently taking the top 7 positions. But, Jeff, you just said it. 26 to go to the end of the stage. Not just handling, but let's remind everyone, at the end of the stage, the top 10 are going to receive points, with the winner of the stage receiving 10 points, all the way down to 1 point for the 10th position. So when I look at the rundown right now, Kurt Busch, he's feeling pretty good. He came in above the cut line. But how about Aric Almirola? He came in at -10 below, currently in the 4th position. Why 4th seems good, Marty. I'm not sure if Aric is just going to cruise for all 25 laps. I expect in the closing laps of this stage to see these front 7 get racy to try to score those so valuable points.
Steve, I don't think any of these Fords are cruising right now. 29 laps on the board. Kurt Busch has led every single one of them. As you mentioned, Fords 1 through 7 right now, clearly showing some significant strength here at Talladega. But, Junior, I don't think we've seen strength like the Stewart-Haas cars are showing right now in years here at Talladega. They're able to break that draft. They pulled away from that other pack by a good bit, and we keep waiting for this handling to kick in and Team Penske to go around them. That hasn't happened so far. The Stewart-Haas guys want to say, hey, it's all credit to Doug Yates, but they've done something with those cars to make them significantly better.
This reminds me of Bill Elliott in the 80s, but it's 4 Bill Elliott's, not just 1. It's 4 cars out there with this type of speed, and their handling is not going to be an issue because they're at the front of the pack. They're leading this pack, and they've been leading the entire time they've been up there, so the handling, they haven't really put their tires through the same stress and situations that these other cars have.
Steve just mentioned how important the points are at the end of the stage. It's just 24 laps until the end of stage 1. On the left side of the screen, you see the playoff leaderboard right now, and as they're running and the points that they're getting. So drivers like the 10 of Aric Almirola and the 14 of Clint Bowyer, who need points, running up there in the top 4, working out well for them. Only 8 will advance after next week's race in Kansas. So every point and position is vital. While things have calmed down a bit, let's take a quick break. NASCAR Drive is your live race day companion. You never miss a lap with NASCAR Drive. Visit NASCAR.com/drive or download the NASCAR mobile app today. NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series Racing, Talladega Superspeedway, the 1000bulbs.com 500. And David Reagan has the 1000bulbs.com 500 on the hood of his car today.
I tell you what, guys, I know this front pack looks pretty organized and pretty simple, but Dale Jr., I've seen some moments. I've seen the 9 move up a lane or two looking for air right there. Joey Logano just jumps out of line. Every time we're on board, they're out of the gas. I mean, with 19 to go, it does sound like handling is becoming an issue, even single file.
Yeah, listen right here. Listen to the throttle. He's losing the nose, getting tight right there.
But even in front of him, look at the leader. He's not on the bottom of the racetrack. I don't think he's being able to hold the bottom like he really wants to as well.
They get a big run down the straightaway. They're struggling in the center of the corner and on corner exit of both turn 4 and turn 2. They're straddling that line. We talked about the apron in the travel being flatter, or the bottom groove in the travel being flatter, so they straddle that line for safety and security. Look at lifting right there. Lifting right there. He can't hold it. Look, he's chasing the car up the racetrack. He can't hold the car low. That's how bad those cars are starting to handle.
And he has friends behind him. He has teammates behind him, not really taking advantage of that situation. But that playing with each other nicely is going to go away. At some point, you know, you're going to get in a situation where Brad Keselowski is going to take that spot if you can't run on the bottom. But right now, it's 18 to go before the stage end. They're just trying to get there first. Kelly.
And Chase Elliott at the back of that pack there up front, observing all of this. He just told his spotter, man, there are some bad handling race cars ahead of me. He's pretty happy with his 9 car as it is. It started a little loose, got a little bit tighter, though, as the run has gone on. And he said, I could pass a bunch of these guys. The problem is he doesn't have any help to get there.
Well, and we were seeing with the shots as we're showing Chase Elliott, he's at the back of this front pack. So right now, there are 8 cars that have separated themselves. Look how far they are in front of the second pack. They have pulled away, and that organization has made them look almost invincible out here today.
And why are we talking about handling so much? Well, it's because we went to this new no ride height rule, and the back of the cars are way down, getting the spoiler out of the air, and it's made these cars incredibly loose and tight in certain situations. And so handling used to not really be that big of a problem here. But you see today that it's extremely tough for these guys, and they're all running single file. Wait till later in the race when they have to run side by side and guys are on their doors taking that side force away. It is going to be hectic. I do not envy that at all, where these guys are going to be in this third stage or trying to race for these stage points or so forth at the end of each of these stages.
And it's only 16 laps until the end of stage 1. And again, every point matters. The people that finish in the top 10, they're going to be getting stage points. Kelly.
You guys talk about the handling of these race cars. Well, for Alex Bowman in the 88 car, he's running 11th right now, but he's saying he can't run wide open. He's just too tight on the exit. This one not about points for them. They feel like they are in a must-win situation this week or next, Marty.
Hey guys, for Brad Keselowski, there might be a problem. He said we have a vibration. That was a couple of laps ago. Then came on the radio last lap and said, I think the vibration might be a loose wheel. Paul Wolfe reassuring him, I know the wheels were torqued before the race. This was not, obviously they haven't pitted yet, but now they're telling him, I know they were torqued, but I'm telling you, this vibration's getting worse. Get ready for me to come down pit road.
Well, you see his hand right there out the window. It looks to me like he's waving. This tells me he's letting the 12 car behind him know he can't hold on to it anymore. He might be coming to pit road. I know what Paul was saying. Hey, we came to pit road, but we only took fuel. We didn't change tires. I know they were tight before the race, but Brad Keselowski obviously feels something. He takes a hard left-hand turn right here, comes to pit road. You hear him?
Nobody out back.
Get the brakes set. He does a nice job coming to pit road. Guys, doesn't look like he locks up any tires. He's 4 tires for the 2, but he definitely won't be scoring points at the end of stage 1.
5-time winner Brad Keselowski has to bring it to pit road. Unscheduled pit stop, Marty.
And Rick, certainly one of the favorites coming into the race. Everything goes clean here. They should be able to stay out, but certainly going to put them off sequence when the stage does end here. For Brad Keselowski, going to be 4 Goodyear tires. He said, I'm free on entry, tight, dead middle of the center. I don't know how to mix those two things. You see the pack running around out there. Hopefully they can stay on the lead lap. It's not going to happen, though, Steve. 14 laps to go here in the stage.
What's this done to the leaders? You see, with Brad Keselowski moved away and got out of that pack, it's broke this pack in half.
Yeah, it broke him completely up. Now Joey Logano is probably not going to be able to run this front pack down. Keselowski's going to go a lap down for sure.
So now Stewart-Haas Racing, the 4 cars that have been working together are going to pull away as they will go by the 2 right there. So they've just put Brad Keselowski a lap down. Now his teammates are coming up behind him.
Yeah, they're going so fast, Brad won't be able to keep up with this pack. He's going to have to hope the next pack catches him and doesn't pass him to try to stay the first car 1 lap down.
The tough part about this for Joey is he's having to exit off of turn 2 high because he cannot keep his car against the apron. You can't look at him. He has to drive his car up the racetrack to get the car to turn on corner exit.
Is this a situation where Ryan Blaney should jump in front of that 22 and maybe he leads?
If they did that, they would for sure lose this top 4.
He's actually, he's actually catching him a little bit. I didn't think he could do it, but they have not driven away like I thought they would. Going to cross the line right here, and Joey Logano was the fastest car that time, so he is able to stay with them, and maybe he will run him back down.
It is 6 Fords and a Chevrolet playing out front at Talladega. America is hooked on Manifest and can't wait for more of the twists and turns of America's #1 new show. Tomorrow, get ready for a bombshell. Manifest, new tomorrow on NBC. Well, NASCAR fans are building the ultimate Chevy, Ford, and Toyota truck, and today only you can get 10 extra chances to drive off in one. Go to NASCAR.com/playoffs promo and use promo code SUPERSPEED to enter now and unlock your extra entries. That's promo code SUPERSPEED. Marty?
Hey, Rick, after further diagnosis, it was indeed a loose left rear wheel for Brad Keselowski. I think the thing the team is questioning now, they pulled that wheel off. You can see where all those lug nuts put a mark on the wheels. But, Steve, the question is, how did it come loose? Number one, if they were torqued before the race. And number two, why did it only happen on lap 41 in the race? They were able to go that long without discovering the loose wheel. That's what worries Paul Wolfe in this race team.
Yeah, that is a concern. Without a doubt, very simply, if a tire comes loose, something had to be wrong on installation. Either it wasn't torqued correctly, or what Paul Wolfe was concerned about, there are some other bolts and apparatus holding the wheel spacers and things in the rear suspension on. If one of those is backed out, they could actually create a loose wheel. We're going to have to really keep an eye on Brad Keselowski to see if this is a reoccurring issue. I really expect to see this 2-car take a little extra time, Parker, on this pit stop at the end of the stage to inspect that left rear corner, make sure they had no issues moving forward.
And guys, you see Denny Hamlin there, who's running in 8th. He's been leading the second pack, and they actually formed a second lane up top. He went up and blocked that, but his team is reminding him to save fuel and said, right now, we are tight on making it right now on fuel as he leads that pack. And as you guys know, if you're leading, you can't really save. That's when you're running the draft that you can save. You can start to lift a little bit and use the draft to your advantage. But he's continued to lead that lane, and therefore is in a precarious position in terms of being able to save fuel at the end of this stage.
So we're riding along right now. This is Denny Hamlin leading this 3rd group. This 3rd group is really good race cars. Denny Hamlin, Alex Bowman, very fast race cars. Here's the 1st group. Let's show you how far this 1st group of Stewart-Haas Racing has driven away from the 3rd group. There's the 2nd group that we talked about, that maybe the 2nd group could run with them. Clearly they couldn't. They drove away. But now let's go all the way back to this 3rd group. This is something that we have not seen at Talladega, where one group can drive away. There's the 3rd group. That's a huge pack of cars. You would think this group could, with this many cars in them, could run the fastest lap time. They're not even close to the same speed that Kurt Busch and that front pack are. Stewart-Haas Racing has brought some amazing speed this weekend.
Only 5 laps to go, and I think the question has to be asked, will Kurt Busch win stage 1? Because we have seen Stewart-Haas Racing, they know that every single point is very important. Kevin Harvick proved it to us at Chicago earlier when he raced Kurt Busch to win the stage because you get a playoff point.
That's also that's something to talk about. Will Kevin Harvick try to win this stage to get the playoff point? But what will they do with the 14 and the 10 who need the points to be able to advance into the next round? Will they allow them to shuffle toward the front and one of those guys finish first or another one finish second to get maximum points in this round?
The one thing I've seen, too, is that 41 car of Kurt Busch, he's not always run the bottom off the corner. He's having handling issues. If he loses it far enough, the 14 will fill that gap. But let's go back to that 10 car. Eric, I'm rolling 4th. Let's listen to what he's talking about with points.
I know it's premature, but maybe get with the 4 and see when it comes down to it. That point will mean a lot for us.
And so he's trying to He's trying to work with his teammates to say, hey, man, will you give me that 1 point? Allow me right now. He's 2 out. That'll bring him to 1, minus 1 point below the bubble. That'll be incredible. And we've seen it coming down into these rounds, how 1 point can make the biggest difference. It just depends on whether, you know, these guys will work together that much. Also, who's handling well and who can make the move at the end if they need to make the move. Steve?
Well, we're looking at ways you could try to break up these Stewart-Haas Fords, and one way would be to pit before the end of the stage. It would have to happen this lap right here, but you guys just showed the lead these 4 cars have gained over the rest of the field. That reason and that reason alone takes that strategy away. If you come to pit road, even for gas only, you're going to lose a lap. So these Stewart-Haas cars completely controlling the tempo, just not the lead, Marty, or they're actually controlling the tempo of the rest of the pack and what options they have.
Great point, Steve. They won't do that, though, because that 14 car, that 10 car, they need these stage points. 41 as well, so they need all these points that they can. Kevin Harvick obviously pretty comfortable right now with the points that he has. You talked about the 41's handling, Jeff. He would love to stay on the bottom. He can't. He said about every 10 laps his car takes a step and getting worse. Way too free for that 41 car of Kurt Busch.
And that's out front. That's with the best air that any car is going to have on the track. If he loses the lead, if he even goes back to second or third or fourth at any point in this race, this late on tires, he's going to have a real handling problem.
Well, now we're under 2 laps to go, so who will make the first move and how late will they make it? The other thing is, as an organization, they don't want to screw this situation up, racing for potentially a stage win. They don't want to wreck each other this early in this race still.
Be interesting to see what these guys are doing on throttle. Let's see if we can listen to the 4 car. Run a single file 4 car group. Are they lifting any here? So far, full throttle for the 4 car of Harvick.
And you would think these 4 cars would just stay in line, get these stage points, and be done with it. But we just left a round where 3 people tied, and the best finish determined it. So 1 point can make a difference. So, you know, Kevin Harvick's in really good shape, but we've seen how aggressive he is. We saw him pass Kurt Busch at Chicago to get a stage win. So here we are, coming to the final lap. Let's see if somebody's going to make a move.
Marty.
Eric Almirola asked the 4 car to go high here. He really wants the point to win this stage, guys. Don't be surprised if the 10 tries something here.
He's not going to be able to make any move on his own. Not only help behind him, he'll need that 4 to give that position up. Look, back. The 14's backing up to the 4, trying to get a run.
Look at the 10 trying to check to the outside. Does he have a run? He gets to the outside of the 4. Will he try to side draft him? He can't get to the quarter panel. They come through the tri-oval for the final time, and it looks as though it's going to be close. Almirola is going to finish in 4th.
Wow. So they didn't have team orders. Kevin Harvick did want to give him that point. So that's really interesting right there, and that may, you know, that tells us what we'll see going forward in this race for these guys.
I think that's what you have to do. You're there to race for your team. I think it would be wrong for Kevin Harvick to slow down and give somebody a position. That position may matter to you later. You got to get every point, every opportunity you can.
We've seen them organize at the start and restart where they get in line. Well, Kurt Busch won the pole, and now he's stage 1 winner. Pit stop's underway, Dave.
Second place, Clint Bowyer hits the pit box. He said, my car is kind of awesome. I've never had a car like this in Talladega. Still needs a little bit of an adjustment, chassis adjustment for the handling, Marty.
Eric Almirola said at the end of the run, the right front just didn't feel very good. Said the car actually got too tight for him towards the end of the run. Kurt Busch said every 10 laps, the car felt a little bit worse for him. But he said at the very end of the run, kind of felt like the field came back to us. How about Ryan Blaney? He wins the race off pit road, Kelly.
One car you don't see on pit road right now, the 9 of Chase Elliott. The reason being they ran out of fuel. They had to come to pit road early. They did it while the pits were still closed, and now his penalty will be starting from the tail end of the longest line.
Ryan Blaney, 5 positions on pit road. So now track position pivotal for Penske drivers who just got in front of Stewart-Haas Racing.
Out of a moment, most out of an opportunity. You got to
put it all on the line. You've got to rise to the occasion.
When all the pressure's on you, you either make it happen or you don't.
It is all on the line. Next week in Kansas, 12 drivers will be whittled down to 8. And who will advance to the round of 8? Well, we'll find out at the Hollywood Casino 400. You don't want to miss all of the action that's going to take place in an elimination race. Visit NASCAR.com/tickets to purchase your tickets to that race today. Let's go back to the Peacock Pit Box. Steve Letarte and DJ.
Yeah, thanks, Rick. I got DJ. You've been watching the race from up here as well. Well, you know how to run here. 2-time winner at Talladega. Of all your times down here, have you seen something as dominating what Stewart-Haas has done so far?
No, I don't think that I have to put that together. But right before the race started, I saw Doug Yates down here in the 41. I said, wow, you've got it together here. He said, you know, we've done our job. We've got the good race cars. But we use the word bizarre here a lot about things that happened. But that was bizarre to see the way that played out. But to see a team that dominant, it's going to be tough for these other teams.
Well, if I'm the crew chief for Ryan Blaney, if I'm Jeremy Bullins, I'm excited. My pit crew has broken those Stewart-Haas cars up on pit road. But as a driver, as you come to that restart, is that in the forefront of your mind? Are you thinking I need to do whatever I can to keep these cars split up?
Absolutely, 100% right now. Let's see what we know what they can do lined up. Let's see what they can do with somebody right beside them on their quarter panel and not all working together. I think that's their one chance to see exactly what can happen and how this may play out throughout the afternoon. I think what we saw there in that first stage is not going to be what we see the rest of this race.
Well, I agree, and we got a lot of racing left, and then right after the race, we'll have Kyle, DJ, and Krister from right here. We're going to break down the race, so it should be exciting, Dave.
Steve, Todd Gordon, crew chief, to Joey Logano. Did you feel a vibration there, like with 10 laps to go on the stage? Driver, yep. And no looseness, right? Tight most of the time, yep. Well, the result is what came off of the car, the right front unwinding, that wear situation that you get when that right front is, or the front of the car is not working and the car is not turning well. Severe wear there, and apparently, Parker, they're passing it on to their teammates.
Exactly, Dave. They did. They told the 12 of Ryan Blaney that had happened to 22, and then told Ryan that he had a little bit of cording just on the inside of the right front, but Ryan was really loose on the entry and the exit of the corner, so his crew chief Jerry Bowen said, hey, that might be a good thing here in this run.
I mentioned earlier how much communication plays a part of these super speedway races and plate races, where you're constantly relying on your spotter to be able to tell you what is taking place behind you and all around you. So we're going to also take advantage of listening in. We're going to tune into the 22 of Joey Logano, listen to his communication with spotter TJ Majors, who used to be Dale Jr.'s. And here comes the field as they're approaching the Geico restart zone.
10 from the bottom. 5 away. Ready. Green. Rolling good. The 12 cleared him already, but he can't come down. There's nothing in front of that 4. He'll be clear out front. You get there, help him. The middle there a little bit. That 11's all over that 41 there. Keep working them doors here so we can get a hole here. We're not going to get much help on that bottom lane. Still the 10 lined up out back with you, lined up inside. Big push of the 10. Still just lined up inside, They're tight on the bottom, they need to roll a little bit here. Here you go, inside the 11, no hole yet, no hole. Still there, inside, lined up inside. Nope, coming here again. Coming to you. Here he comes. Still there, the 88. Get that air there. Perfect. The ones in your mirror building runs right now, so they should help you off the corner here. Half back to that 10.
And they're going 3 wide now. That voice that we heard, TJ Majors, Dale Jr., that's got to bring back memories.
Yeah, TJ's really great. He's trying to paint the picture behind Joey, what's going on, so Joey can really focus on what he's doing with his car to side draft the car on the inside of him, and how he's getting runs and position himself to side draft the car ahead of him.
And we saw Stewart-Haas Racing, they're not leading this race anymore. The 21.
Oh, look out! We got a spin.
And 48, Jimmy Johnson goes around, coming through the tri-oval, and it looks as though he's not going to catch anyone else.
Oh,
what's he going to hit that? Oh.
He does hit the inside wall. So a lot of damage, I'm sure, to the left front of the 48.
He did a great job keeping the car from going back up the racetrack into the traffic, but the price he paid for that was hitting that inside wall.
We'll get a look at it.
That was Chad Knaus saying we're going to get a look at it. Jimmie Johnson, Chad Knaus. It was mentioned this week. It was announced that the two, after 17 years together, 7 championships together, would be splitting as driver crew chief. That pairing now split up. This is definitely not what Jimmie Johnson was looking for. They have won a race every year they have been in the Cup Series.
Here's a replay. Is it what you were talking about, Jeff? In his travel, he gets loose and has to correct. And when he corrects, that really brings it back around.
You mentioned what an amazing job of staying out of getting back on the racing line.
You see his car start to go up the racetrack. He just couldn't turn it because he was too loose and had to turn it to stay off the 10 of Aric Almirola and just spun out. Something we have seen with this 48 team before, where the car gets so loose and just can't hang on to it.
So why is that tri-oval so tricky? That bottom lane is flatter than the rest of the tri-oval. When they repaved this racetrack, they made progressive banking just in that bottom groove, and it really makes it tough to get through there. If you drive through there and that right rear tire gets up on that next increased banking, you will get loose. And there's your.
So you see the bottom lane right here.
Remember that truck's driving.
Yeah, the left side tires of that truck. You see that seam, that black seam. That is less banking than the groove above it. And when you mentioned it, Junior, when they repaved this racetrack years ago, they took some banking away from that bottom groove, and the cars just drive bad through there. It's about 3 or 4 degrees difference between the bottom lane and the second lane. And the way these cars drive anyway, then you add that to it. That's what happened to Jimmie Johnson.
And the pairing of Jimmie Johnson and Chad Knaus still looking with 6 races to go in the season, trying to get a win. They have won every single season, 81 wins with that pair, 7 championships. Of those 81 wins, 11 Crown Jewel wins. So good at Charlotte in the Coca-Cola 600. And of course, tying Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt for the most championships ever in NASCAR at 7. And now the car has made its way onto pit road, and they're looking at the damage on that left side.
So this caution period, everybody else looks like they're coming down pit road. Parker.
Guys, Ryan Blaney's led 6 laps, just a little bit loose on entry. He was told stop, shorten the box. I believe this will just be fuel only, unless they go out there. Yeah, it's going to be fuel only, Dave.
Same for Clint Bowyer. He was told don't slide him. That means we're only taking Sunoco fuel, Marty.
Watch Shane Papal at the left front of the 4 car. He is normally the front tire changer. He's there to signal Kevin Harvick when to go. Rodney Childers told him it wouldn't be long, and it wasn't. And that 4 car wins the race off pit road. Obviously fuel only for everybody here on pit road.
And we saw Clint Bowyer have to surge ahead to avoid any kind of contact there. So Harvick, Bowyer, Kurt Busch, Almirola, those 4 once again winning the race off of pit road. This is the 48 of Jimmie Johnson coming through the tri-oval, gets loose, corrects, gets into the inside wall, and maybe his chances of a win at Talladega going away. You're watching Monster Energy Cup Series racing from Talladega. Let's find Rutledge Wood.
Rick, I'm down here on pit road, but I'm actually above pit road on one of the camera stands, and I've got an incredible view. I'm watching all the photographers down here catch so many different pit stops, and as I realize I'm standing here in line with all these different crew chiefs. Steve Letarte, I wonder right now, way down there at the end of pit road, you having any, like, crew chief flashbacks, or you getting any anxiety right now watching all this happen?
Oh, the anxiety meter is pegged because of these dominant SHR cars. As a crew chief, I'm trying to figure out what can I do to give my driver an advantage, whether it's track position or better tires, or in this situation, I'm concerned about fuel. We saw Chase Elliott run out in the first stage trying to go 43 laps. Well, if these guys try to make it to the end of this stage, Rick, 46 laps. So if I have a guy up in the lead pack, I'm coaching right away to try to save whatever fuel he can as he drafts around this big racetrack.
Now they've got to think of that too. Not only are they worried about what line they get in or who they're bumping, who they're getting close to, but now they've got to think about fuel as well.
And look what happened. Stewart-Haas cars, first, second, third, fourth.
We'll see if the organization works again. The field approaching the Geico restart zone. And back up through the gears they go.
Well, it looks a little different this time. I don't know. Is the 10 car going to get behind? Yes, he is. He's going to get behind his teammate, Clint Boyer. But that delay of making that decision has allowed that outside line to jump up there with Kyle Busch leading it.
How about the 13 car, the white car, Ty Dillon behind Kyle Busch.
Here they come. Kyle Busch with a nose out front.
Outside line is working at Talladega. Daniel Suarez back there pushing to the 13 as well. Eric Jones, a couple of young guys in the 19 and 20.
There they're back. That outside line's losing a little bit of ground, and now the inside is organized. It took them too long to get organized, and that's why that outside got out there. But now that they are together and working, it'll be almost impossible for Kyle Busch to make this move and take the lead.
Hey, Kyle Busch, I think they saw how fast Stewart-Haas is. See Dillon up the racetrack.
He went to the tribal. He's so loose and uncomfortable in the tribal. He got out. He bailed out right there and said, I don't want any.
That puts Suarez right behind Kyle Busch. Now you have 3 Joe Gibbs racing cars in the outside lane.
Marty.
And guys, look who's back on the lead lap and in this big pack, Brad Keselowski. What they did when they came down pit road last time, they took the left rear wheel off. They threaded all of the studs with lug nuts to make sure everything was good. Then they put another spacer in there, tapped the fender out in the left rear. They think, Steve, they have the issue fixed. Brad Keselowski was worried it might have damaged that wheel and the wheel studs when that tire was loose earlier.
I like that move by Paul Wolf, the crew chief for Brad Keselowski, taking the time now. One of his assets is his patience in race management. He understands there's still 120 to go in this race. Give his driver a secure car, something he can be confident with as we got a battle for the lead, guys.
Yeah, I don't think somebody has told Kyle Busch that he's not going to be able to pass the Stewart-Haas guys because he's doing everything he can to try to get by them and make that outside line work.
He sure is. He's got a lot of great help behind him with his teammate, Daniel Suarez. Daniel Suarez actually got in the back of the 13 car through the tri-oval, and that's why the 13 of Ty Dillon had to bail out. Look at that side draft on the 18. He's going to pull even here. Wait on his teammate to hopefully come up here and give him a push. Stays away from the side of the 4. Back to his quarter panel to side draft a little bit here, then move away again if he can. He does.
And at the same time, Suarez got close enough to him. That might be enough for him to clear Harvick.
Will he clear him and then get down, or will he bring his teammate with him?
I'd get down. I would just get down. You just got to take that when you can. He's not going to take it. Dave.
And that car they've been working on, Kyle was very unhappy with it early in the race. Of course, he was trying to chase down the Stewart-Haas cars, but they made a lot of adjustments. He called the car ridiculous tight, and now it's competing for the lead.
Yeah, these guys all got their tires changed, and everybody's got good grip now. They better take advantage of it while they can before the ballast starts to go away after a few laps.
Kyle was a great teammate right there. He stayed in the outside lane with Suarez. Let's see if it'll work out for him. Let's see if he can get an opportunity to get back in front of Kevin Harvick. I don't know. I think as fast as Stewart-Haas is, I think when you had a chance to get in front of him, you needed to turn left and take that spot. Kyle did not do it.
Junior, we've seen you for years and years and years go up and block that second line. And then when the inside line would get a move, you'd go back down and get in front of that one. Is that what Kevin Harvick needs to do now?
That's what he can't do, but he knows he's got his teammates down there. He knows if he stays here, he's got the 4 fastest cars.
Big run right here from the 18. Big run, but at the same time, the 14 got to run on the 4.
Yeah, the bottom line's so organized, so tight, but it's making the 4 uncomfortable there, as you see him give him the shove.
Yeah, Boyer was in the back of Harvick. Had Harvick's car upset getting into the corner. So right here, they're side by side. If Suarez, if he were right behind the 18, that would be a shot for those guys. See the big move coming from the 18, but at the same time, the move coming from the 14. They're running wide open.
Yeah, the outside's got some good organization here. The 20 has been giving some good pushes to the 19, and that's keeping him up on the 18 bumper right there. 18's got a side draft here, but he's also getting side drafted by the 14. You see how that pulls that 18 car back?
Trying to side draft and getting side drafted at the same time.
It's tough, you know. That's why you kind of move away and get back to the quarter panel, move away.
All right, we're going to listen in to Tim Fedewa, who's the spotter for Kevin Harvick.
You're still clear. to 14.
That outside lane starting to get a little bit unorganized.
Come back. Still clear, 14's not.
See a big gap to the 19 car here. 18 by himself pretty much. Here comes 19, big run.
First two, single file. First three, single file.
That outside line starting to lose it.
Here, keep doing what you're doing. Double check your switches. First three, single file. Top starting to fade a little.
Real calm. Staying real calm. Keep your driver calm.
So right now, you see that outside lane. Tim Beadle told Harvick the top lane starting to fade. Well, right now, Kyle Busch has to be second-guessing his decision not to move in front of Kevin Harvick to get that lead. Look where he's going now. He lost a lot of ground. Now he's going to the back. So I understand trying to take care of your teammate, but, man, you got to be selfish. You get that spot to take the lead, you just got to take it.
And he's staying way out.
Yeah, he's decided to go to the back of the pack for some reason. Try to think about what he can do later in the race to put himself in position to do that again, Jeff, and I'm sure he'll make a different choice. Definitely would have made that choice to pull down in front of Harvick. It was stage 3 here. Opportunity to go for trophies. Now the inside line all lined up, back with Stewart-Haas all out front. Will anybody behind them be able to put up a challenge to break these guys up?
Keselowski in the outside lane. We just got a report from Marty about them coming in and fixing their wheel studs, make sure they didn't have a problem later on. He's out there kind of by himself. Trevor Bayne with him, but only 2 cars. Hanging in there pretty good. And that, if handling comes into play,
it's got to be coming into play now.
That makes that outside line a little better out there by yourself because he's able to run wide open. Where that inside lane, they're having to lift off that throttle just a little bit.
We're far enough into this run on these tires that I believe that handling is becoming an issue. That's why you've seen the pack sort of dissolve into a single file line on the inside. Dave.
Let's update you on what's going on with Kyle Larson, this recent radio transmission.
What are we doing? We complain about the car being slow and then we go to the outside by ourselves. I'm not driving it.
So that was crew chief and spotter talking about what Kyle is doing with the car. Right now you see him running pretty much by himself, leading that pack, running in the 11th position. Thought he had brake issues earlier, but still not the speed that he's been looking for. Remember, a driver who started outside the cut line trying to get his way in before the last race of the round next week at Kansas.
And Dave, let's see who's on the move while we are talking about Kyle Larson, brought to you by Chevrolet. Kyle Larson, remember, a very poor starting position for Kyle Larson has made up 29 spots since the start of the race. Currently running in the 11th position, as mentioned, started 40th.
Yeah, you always wonder what they're talking about on that other channel, where they're talking about you and the moves you're making. Whether they're good, they're bad.
When the race is over, man, I'm with you.
No, I used to say it right over the radio. I would just tell the driver direct.
Get it out there. Well, Kevin Harvick now leading at Talladega. Boyer, Almirola, Kurt Busch, all teammates running in single file behind him. And then the pack of drivers that are fighting for positions 5 through 39, 40 are out there working.
You see that front pack once again starting to drive away from the second pack.
John Deere 3-wide Gator brings you this moment where drivers were 3 wide, and that is very common here at Talladega. 3 wide. And it's going to look like this, but even more intense as we get closer to the end of stage 2. NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series 1000bulbs.com 500 from Talladega Super Speedway underway as 30 laps to go in the second stage. And I want to take a look at today's Toyota driver update. I mentioned who's fighting for that 5th spot. Well, right now Denny Hamlin has it. Suarez, Eric Jones, and 2 playoff drivers in Kyle Busch and Martin Truex Jr. 18th and 27th. Parker.
And Rick, I found it interesting when watching Denny Hamlin over the last couple laps, because a couple laps ago when Kyle Busch and Daniel Suarez, both his teammates, were trying to take the lead, he was behind them. Then he saw an opening on the bottom. He took it and got behind those Stewart-Haas Racing 4s to stay up front. those two teammates went to the back, and he has stayed up there right now, just struggling a little bit of a tight condition inside that 11 car, Dave.
Parker, we saw Kyle Busch go from battling for the lead back to 21st right now, and his complaint is a very technical handling thing, but it's pretty easy to see. Right underneath the front bumper, the splitter is that duckbill portion that needs to be right on the racetrack, almost scraping it. He said, we've got to be on the splitter. They'll try to adjust for that next time down. Marty?
Dave, we told you Martin Truex Jr. might ride in the back today. Well, he's doing that in 25th right now, but he's not doing it because he wants to. The handling of the car has been way off on the 78 all day long. He said the front end's been very darty, meaning it just wants to move around. They have taken Packer out of the right front, trying to get that splitter down twice on the 78. He said it's driving crazy. Goldburn told me I would love to be plus 20 above the cut line. That would make me comfortable going to Kansas. Right now, the 78 is one below the cut line, and what a story that would be next week with an elimination race. You see those points on the left side if one of the big three went to Kansas below the cut line, guys.
And Marty, that's the point. I know he's back here because his strategy is to stay out of the mix, but he's still running in the 25th position. In an accident, he could easily be outside the top 25. That could be 5, 10, even 15 more points he would be giving up. You see who he's racing against: the 10 of Eric Almirola up front, the 41 of Kurt Busch, the 14 of Clint Bowyer, all up inside the top 8. That 78 car has such a dominant regular season, so many playoff points. Could he leave here below the cut line? Would make Kansas perhaps a must-win. But think about this. He won at Kansas there last year, so maybe he feels good about heading back there this year.
Yeah, Steve, he won 2 of the last 3 races at Kansas, so maybe that comfort is there, although this situation that he's in right now, I mean, Martin Truex Jr. has never won at a plate race, but running 25th cannot be an ideal situation for that team and driver.
No, the position doesn't concern me as much as the way the car handles. He's going to need to get that car more comfortable to be able to run side by side, 3 wide, whatever needs to happen, to be able to try to win the race at the end and make the moves he needs to make. The other thing I'm watching right here that's going to be interesting to me is Kurt Busch running in 4th place. And as these tires age and the balance gets worse on these cars, it's the first time that he's been in traffic. He ran that first whole stage leading, and he talked about his car out front, how uncomfortable it was. How's he going to be able to handle his car as we get further and further into the stage? I've seen him move around, run a little higher at times, wondering whether that's him or the car.
One car behind this group. Look at this 2-car. Brad Keselowski, we talked about him earlier. He has found a way by himself on the outside to work himself to be the leader of that second group now. Remember, they worked on that car, came in, fixed the problem they had, and he has a fast race car. He's done most of this work by himself without any help, now leading this second pack. Let's see if he can run that first pack down. I think this is the first time we've had a really good car leading this second pack. Just a little while ago, Alex Bowman on the back straightaway. Remember that yellow line rule. You cannot put your left side tires below the yellow line. They can be on it. You cannot put them below the yellow line. If you put them below that yellow line to advance position, NASCAR is going to black flag you. Now remember, you also can get pushed below there, and that guy can get penalized if he pushes you.
Kelly.
Alex Bowman knew he was below the level line, so he said he gave the position back. Now, he's a guy that did not come in here with any points to rely on. They know that they've got to win either this race or the next one. The good news is that this 88 team feels like they have the race car capable of winning. What Alex needs to do a little bit differently here today versus years past, he told me, is he's just got to be more aggressive. In years past, he's been trying to help other teammates advance throughout the playoffs. Today, he's hoping he can get some help from them. But this 88 car right now running inside the top 10, but Alex Bowman's going to have to figure out how to get up front.
Well, Kelly, the way to get up front is follow that 2-car. Keselowski caught the 19 of Suarez, drove underneath him, put Suarez in the back, and now Alex Bowman followed him to pick up that spot. 1 car at a time. That's what you're going to have to do. They got the car to do it now. Keselowski is the car that can drive
what's he going to do now? He's caught his teammates. Now, does he take advantage of his teammates and try to continue to go past them, work his way toward the front, bust up the Stewart-Haas foursome up front?
Well, if I was his spotter and I saw what Kyle Busch did earlier, I'd say, you know what? We're on our own right here. If a hole opens up, you take it. You take that spot. Hey, listen, it's great working with teammates. Up front, it's easy, right? What they got going on right here with Stewart-Haas Racing, yes, stay in line all you can. But when you're back here and you're trying to get yourself to the front, you can't do that playing nice. You got to go and take those spots.
All all these decisions being made at speeds over 200 miles an hour. Alex Bowman shoots way out to the high side. Now, Brad Keselowski still trying to move up. Now they've caught that lead pack. You're not going to miss a thing as we go NASCAR nonstop from Talladega. Get NASCAR coverage when you're on the go with NASCAR Mobile. You can search NASCAR in your app store or visit NASCAR.com/mobile. That app puts NASCAR racing right at your fingertips. And chaos back here, the second pack. As organized as the front pack is, unorganized is what I would say, and racy back here in this second pack.
Ryan Newman on the bottom of the racetrack. He's actually 2 laps down, had to pit under green. But yeah, this second group, it's been crazy.
Yeah, losing a lot of time to that front pack, but what do you do? I mean, you got to try to position yourself toward the front. It's getting later and later in this race, and you see opportunities to take passes. And all these guys don't think their cars are handling very well, and I think that's why they're all gravitating toward the top, maybe to get better handling.
We saw that Brad Keselowski a little bit ago leading that second pack. Alex Bowman made a really aggressive move on the outside. Got by Keselowski. That slowed him down. And then all these guys caught him and got by him as well. So now this front group, they've got to get single file. They got to get single file and hope that they can run that front pack back down.
They're going to have to run the bottom to do it. Running around that middle or top line is just going to take too much time. It's just adding additional feet to the lap.
Again, these cars traveling at 200 miles an hour. Out front, Harvick, Boyer, Almirola, and Kurt Busch. The Stewart-Haas Racing team has stuck together. Now, maybe a little dissension back here. Oh, the first car out is Denny Hamlin. He looked.
Yeah, but is handling causing that? Him chasing his car up the racetrack. We've seen it. This is late in the run, 17 to go on the stage. 5 laps on these tires, guys. Going to be fading up off the bottom just because they're chasing the car up there.
Second pack behind this group. They were quite a bit faster that lap. You can see it. They're catching them. They're running this first pack down. This is something we didn't see in the first stage. In the first stage, we did not see anybody be able to run that first pack down led by Stewart-Haas Racing. But right now, Daniel Suarez leading this group again, ran the fastest lap. And not by a little bit, by a lot. He's got a lot of speed coming. Let's see if he can use that energy when he gets to that front pack to make a move. Alex Bowman, he's the last car in that pack, and he's going to be watching his mirror, maybe try to block.
Just 16 laps to go in stage 2. And is the second pack starting to form? Maybe get a little organization here and challenge the lead pack. Marty.
Yeah, Brad Keselowski would love to get that second pack back up to the front pack. They said the 88 kind of drugged them back a little bit. You mentioned 16 laps to go here in this stage, Rick. And Steve, we saw Chase Elliott run out of fuel in the last stage. This is even longer of a run for these cars to make it to the end. But all the Stewart-Haas crew chiefs tell me they are good to make it to the end. That's impressive that they can make this kind of power and save that kind of fuel. That's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. That's a good feeling. But I think drivers can save fuel here. You just needed to tell them right at the beginning of this stage. I don't think you could save a lot every lap, but if you know ahead of time, you could save a little bit. But you want to be back in the pack, not where the 88 is right here leading the pack. He's got to be using more fuel than perhaps the 19 and the 18 behind him.
Fuel an issue. Listen to the 14 on the radio talking fuel.
Take care of fuel when you can, man. This is a lot harder to stay attached to the floor, though. Yeah, copy that, dude.
Saw it off of turn 4, the 11 of Denny Hamlin getting up off the bottom. Joey Logano trying to get underneath him. He couldn't make the pass, couldn't get alongside. These guys are starting to struggle with the balance of their cars.
See Alex Bowman on the outside of Blaney.
He's lost that lead back. He was right behind him.
Denny keeps it on the bottom here.
They go behind him. See if Alex Bowman can clear Blaney. Jumping that inside line, he can't do it. Blaney's got some help from his teammate behind him.
Blaney hoping that Keselowski can give him a shove, and those two working together could potentially reel in that group in front. Marty.
Meanwhile, in the back, Martin Truex Jr. and some growing concern in this camp for the 78 car. Here's what Truex said a little while ago on the radio.
It might be somewhere at the rear end. Like the walker skipping or something like it down the
And he says that banging noise is getting worse every lap, and every time it happens, it's making the car jump sideways. Junior, I know you talked about it a moment ago. You're worried about where he's running in the field. I think they're worried this car may not be able to make it to the end of stage 2. They don't know what's going on.
What's going on right now? This race for this second pack. Look at 88 being aggressive, trying to get in front of the 18 of Kyle Busch. Kyle had a great run right there. Behind Kyle is Kyle Larson, who was really, really slow in qualifying. We wondered about his ability to be competitive today, but he's raced his car up here into the top 10 or close to it.
Eric Jones working the 20 as well, trying to get some people to help.
These guys are going to have to start to get back in line, try to work their way back up to the back of the Logano car as they're losing a little time to this lead draft.
Closing in on 11 laps to go from Talladega in this second stage. And it has been a Stewart-Haas dominated race. They won stage 1, looking to win stage 2. It's a star-studded NHL doubleheader this week on Wednesday night hockey. First, the Rangers face Alex Ovechkin and the Capitals, then Patrice Bergeron and the Bruins visit the Flames. That's Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern on NBCSN.
On board Kyle Larson, and these guys are at the top of the racetrack, and they are all real tight together, right on that 20 car, trying to give that car a little push. Moving up and down the track to side draft. That's real hard to do when the balance on the car is real uncomfortable right now, is to drive down the track to get to the quarter panel of the car on the inside of you.
Yeah, remember with 8 to go, even though the leaders have gotten out on these guys, this is still for position. This is, you know, you look at the 12 car, Blaney, he's in 7th place. That's stage points.
Right.
I mean, so he's going to race hard right here. It's not necessarily for the lead or the win, but it is to get those stage points.
And these guys haven't lost a ton of time to that lead draft. So with Blaney jumping down to that inside line in front of the 18 car, that could create enough energy to drive them back to the back of the lead draft here. Look at that run the 42 gets up to the bumper, gives them a little shove.
This 20 car hanging on this quarter panel of the 88, it's going to prevent this pack from catching that front pack, though. There's just not enough energy. They'd have to get single file.
You'll see the side draft. Look at the side draft of 12 tries there. Oh, we got a spin down the back straightaway.
Kyle Larson around. And Kyle Larson, as poorly as his car was handling to start the weekend, he goes around and bringing out the 4th caution of the day.
He didn't hit anything, but it tore the right front fender up on that car.
Another 1-car spin here at Talladega.
See the damage on the right front fender.
Yeah, just the air, it seemed like, blew the right front fender out of the car as the hood came up.
Your right front's destroyed.
As he was running, he was 34 points below the cutoff line for the playoffs. He's going to be a must-win situation when he goes to Kansas next week.
Down the back straightaway, he's getting a run on the 20. Oh, he blows a tire. Did he blow a right front tire or something? Yeah. What if he had a tire unwind just like the 22 did?
I don't know why a right front would make him spin out, though. You hear the tire blow out.
I got a wreck in here. Looks like we blew the left rear.
Yeah, it had to be a rear tire to make him spin.
Gas up.
Yeah.
Right there.
Incredible.
Yeah, amazing. Look at Brad Keselowski.
See, the right front blew and it was spinning, and then that's what broke the right front fender.
Watch this, what Brad Keselowski sees.
You're holding even serve you. Right in front of you, right in front of you. Come on through here.
Brad never heard the spotter. That happened so quickly. That's just a response. Good job by Brad.
And not the day that Kyle Larson was looking for. All right, 6 laps to go, Steve, in this stage.
Well, Rick, it really comes down to how valuable are stage points. The better decision for winning the race is to pit right here before the end of stage 2 under yellow. Probably put on 4 tires of fuel, set you up very nicely for the final stage. But that's easier said than done. Points will be awarded in just 6 more laps. If you want to win those points, you stay on the racetrack.
And Steve, the problem now is you have 2 drivers with Stewart-Haas Racing that are in a little bit of a situation where they need the points. The other 2 guys could go out there for the win.
Yeah, and I really think that strategy will split. I like points here, Kelly.
all this 88 cares about is winning this race. So the call was to get 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel for Alex Bowman, who said his car was getting just a little bit tight and he was lacking overall grip, Marty.
Brad Keselowski on pit road trying to take some tires and some fuel here. You heard Steve say it. If you want to win the race, the call right now to come to pit road, Paul Wolfe does that. Also on pit road, Martin Truex Jr. said, we've got to take a look at what this issue is. He said, I think something in the rear axle is broken. We've got speed. I just can't drive it, Rick.
Hard times for the 42 of Kyle Larson, the 78 of Martin Truex Jr. fighting something in the rear end. It's been all smooth sailing for Stewart-Haas Racing, though.
They're the world's most hardcore wheelmen. Speed is their only master. Victory, their only reward. Critics call Kansas Speedway notorious and the toughest track on the circuit. So pack your cooler and buckle in, because this fall's biggest action hit is still being written. The Hollywood Casino 400 Playoff Elimination Race at Kansas Speedway. Rated U for unexpected.
NASCAR on NBC is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of NASCAR. PNC, make today the day. Ford, going further so you can. And by Monster Energy. Unleash the beast. Ford has been dominant today, and they've been dominant at plate tracks. The restrictor plate racing has suited Doug Yates and the Ford engines and these Ford teams. They've won 8 of the last 10 plate races. 6 of them right here at Talladega. That's been all Penske that has taken care of those 6. The Ford drivers have led most laps in the last 5 restrictor plate races, and 61% of the laps in the last 5 restrictor plate races have been led by Ford.
All right, so if you're talking about Fords, how good they've been on the Speedway races, well, that 2 car, the outside lane, he's the first car with tires. The top 11 stayed out. They did not pit. He's the first guy. Put on 4 tires. We keep talking about handling. We're going to have a 3-lap shootout. Let's see if these tires can drive him to the front, Steve.
I love the call for Brad Keselowski. I don't understand Denny Hamlin in 5th, Eric Jones in 9th. Those cars are no longer in the playoffs. I really think this was an opportunity to come get tires that they passed up.
Coming back to the restart, it will be a shootout. 3 laps. Will Stewart-Haas Racing once again try to get organized and fall to the bottom of the racetrack? Up through the gears again. Green flag. Kevin Harvick dives to the bottom. And once again, Stewart-Haas Racing falling into line.
I didn't know if they'd be able to make it work. I saw Joey Logano trying hard to push those guys forward on that outside line and not allow that to happen. But look at how that bottom line is organized, and Joey Logano is in real trouble here.
Falling backwards is the 22 of Joey Logano. In line, the 18 of Kyle Busch jumped in just behind Ryan Blaney in the 12.
Logano really wanting to get to the bottom. There's nowhere to go right now. His teammate, remember, he has tires. Can he get to the 22 and push him up in front of this pack?
And will the fresher tires make him more aggressive as it comes down to 2 laps to go in stage 2?
So Keselowski, to take advantage of those tires, we're going to need this run to go on a little bit so that cars start handling badly. Then he can take advantage of it. So right here on the outside of the 95 car, Regan Smith, you can see Regan can still run wide open. So no advantage just yet.
Marty.
2 to go, Rick. Quite a lot of talk on the 10 radio about trying to get that stage point once again. But, Jeff, the problem is he's the last car of those 4 Stewart-Haas cars up there. So he's got to pull out line and hope Denny Hamlin goes with him. 10 feet of what the spotter for Kevin Harvick said. Be prepared. If that 10 jumps out of the line, 11 might go with him.
Every point matters, Marty. And once again, now it's a situation where Eric Almirola, he is even with the 78 of Martin Truex Jr. running 1, 2, 3, 4, all but 2 green flag laps today. The difference has been the 4 out front now. The 41 was out front for most of the laps earlier. It's 99 laps led.
This outside lane with Austin Dillon trying to run himself up through there, being pushed a lot by Logano. That's going to take some energy away from that bottom lane.
Oh, Brad Keselowski gets to the outside of his teammate. Now Joey to the bottom.
And this the final lap, the final time out of turn 4 before they come into the tri-oval. What an incredibly dominant performance we've seen from Stewart-Haas Racing through the first 2 stages. This time it's Kevin Harvick. They stay in line again. Harvick, Bowyer, Kurt Busch, Almirola. And the stage points get added. And Almirola now 2 points back from the cut line. Stewart-Haas Racing has been unbeatable, and Kevin Harvick wins stage 2. Make sure to join us at 5 o'clock on weekdays for NASCAR America. And a very special NASCAR America is coming up this Friday. It's the 1,000th episode of NASCAR America. Jimmy Johnson, Clint Bowyer will be joining the group. And here comes the field onto pit road, led by the Stewart-Haas foursome. Dave.
Clinton Bowyer finishing second there, got an attaboy from his crew chief. We've done what we need to do so far. 18 stage points, second in both stages. The 14 now really wants those fresh Goodyear tires because he thought he might have run over something, and a Phillips Sunoco fuel, Marty.
Dave, pretty simple for Kevin Harvick and his race team. Said the car's handling good. He wants no changes to it except 4 fresh Goodyear tires. For his teammate Kurt Busch, his quote was, "The tightness follows for a quantity of laps," meaning about every 10 laps gets a little bit tighter in that 41 car. Up on the track bar and air pressure, Kelly.
And the 88 of Alex Bowman also came to pit road. He thought he had a loose wheel, so they had to go off their strategy, come to pit road, and take 4 fresh Goodyear tires.
See the race off pit road. Suarez, DiBenedetto making up quite a few spots. Stewart-Haas Racing now split up. And let's go now to Steve Letarte and DJ on the Peacock Pit Box.
Well, DJ, second stage, same story. The 4 SHR cars choose to stay out, and that late yellow, but it works. They finish 1 through 4 on the stage.
Phenomenal. The preparation that they've done in these last couple of races as we've got into the playoffs, just amazing. I don't think we've seen dominance like this from an organization, but you have to tip your hat to those guys.
It is impressive, but the difference now, Brad Keselowski, he pitted and now stayed on the racetrack. He'll control the race, and my concern for the Stewart-Haas Racing cars is we've really yet to see them in traffic. So we take a look at how their car's set up, namely the 41 of Kurt Busch. You take a look at this car right here. We're going to talk about how the cars look aerodynamically. Well, look at that 41, how it kind of crabs down the straightaway. You can't see any of the rear spoiler, hiding it behind the greenhouse. We'll look at the 22 of Joey Logano. I could see some right rear spoiler that would help that car handle. Now that the SHR cars are outside the top 15, DJ, it's going to be interesting. Can they get through the pack?
That's going to be the issue. Is, does this handling come into effect for them? They've been great out front. What do they do now? I think they're fast enough and good enough that they'll work their way back there once again. It's up to some others to try to halt that progress getting back to the front.
And Rick, we've heard handling issues already. Remember this final stage, the longest stage. We may see green flag pit stops, and if your car didn't drive good, it's going to be a long final stage for an ill-handling race car.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the question right now is, can the guys who have been dominant up front work their way through the pack? We haven't seen anyone be able to catch that front pack, but it has been led by Stewart-Haas Racing the whole time. This is an incredible event at Talladega. It is a must-come-to event. Talladega goes global in the fact that there are fans from all 50 states that come to enjoy this race, as well as 20 different countries represented at today's race, and those 20 different countries spanning 4 continents. And Rutledge, I believe, has some fans from outside the United States.
Rick, I sure do. I'm over here just outside of turn 4 with 20 Canadians who rented an RV. Everybody came down here. How did this whole trip happen?
This whole trip happened thanks to this guy and our boss right here.
Yeah. And what do you guys do for work?
We're in the HVAC industry.
Well, this is the appropriate time on NBC to give a shout out to your boss. What's the name of the company?
This is Keith Brown right here. AK Brown's our company.
In what part of Canada?
We're from Calgary, Alberta.
Calgary, Alberta, and there are 20 of you that came down here for the race. Has Talladega lived up to everything you hoped it would be?
Oh, beyond, I would say.
and I noticed there's no Canadian beer here. It's all domestic with you guys.
Well, we got to pace out the weekend, right?
You have to, right?
It's all diesel all the time.
All diesel all the time. You guys, talk about a great boss. Our boss brought us to Talladega also, so this is really cool. And you know what? He was going to go by an alias as Mike Wells all weekend long. He's gotten into every restaurant in town, you guys. He got the best seat in the house. 20 Canadians here for Talladega. How awesome is this, Rick?
That's a pretty good alias, too, by the way, right?
It works everywhere.
Yeah, if you're going to use one, use that one. So 2x2 once again. Let's listen in to Brad Keselowski's radio on lane selection.
What do you think your leader's been taking the top? Yeah, they've only been taking the top and letting the guy to his left is letting them in. I don't think that's going to happen with the car behind you. So bottom line.
And so row one on the inside, Brad Keselowski is going to hug that double yellow line as he comes back up through the gears. William Byron will be to his outside. Jamie McMurray will be giving Brad Keselowski a little shove, and Bubba Wallace in the 43 behind William Byron.
No teammates working with each other right here. First time we've seen a restart without teammates leading it.
That bottom line's more organized. Jamie McMurray closer to Brad Keselowski. Byron not much help from Bubba Wallace right now. Here
Bubba
comes
Wallace
Bubba with a run.
Trying to give a little bit more of a shove here. 3 wide behind him. Here comes Kurt Busch in the 41 right up the middle.
Whoa, look out.
And a little shove
Jamie
there.
McMurray makes a block that throws the 21 down the racetrack under the line.
4 wide as they go into turn 4 or 3. 4 wide. First we've seen of this.
Business always picks up in the third stages of these races.
I think it's important. We heard Dale Jarrett, Steve Letarte talking about handling. We saw how the 41 car is skewed out. Right now, new tires need to pick these spots up because if you don't get them now, it's going to become more difficult as your car handling starts to go away.
Now 3 wide as they dive into turn 1.
Bubba Wallace on the nose of the 22 car almost turns himself around. Logano has to check up a little bit. Look at the separation it creates.
An organization up front. The first 5 cars have tried to stay in single file, but behind them, it's 3 wide. And black flag's going to be displayed for the 1 of Jamie McMurray, forcing the 21 below the double yellow line.
They said they would possibly black flag you if you did throw that block. It's kind of a gray area, but let's take a look at this replay and see if we get a good look at it. There's Jamie McMurray. Paul Menard ducks down low. Jamie sees him, goes down there to block it. Yep, that's a force below. Hard to argue that call that NASCAR's made.
Yeah, now the rule is if you push someone below the yellow line in an effort to keep them from passing you, they can black flag you. That was pretty obvious.
So that will be unfortunate for McMurray, who started up in the second row. He'll have to come to pit road. And still on the move, the 41 of Kurt Busch.
He's out there by himself without any help. And still hanging on to the outside of that 13 car. Ty Dillon.
Alex Bowman, that 88 car behind him, trying to get to him. If he gets to him, that'll form up an outside line. He's there.
Yeah, but just 2 cars is going to be tough, even the speed the 41 car has.
We'll have to see if handling comes into play with these cars underneath him. That would be the only way this top lane would work if those guys have to start lifting.
Look at Keselowski away from the double yellow line. William Byron just behind him. Paul Menard has moved his way up to 3rd.
Sir, gotta do a pass through.
Hearing pass through for the 1 of Jamie McMurray.
Now Joey Logano trying a big move on Ty Dillon. He's up on the outside.
We got a slow car though up here.
He cleared Ty Dillon, so now that's just going to put him 2 wide.
Anybody in that 3rd groove's got to be wary of this slow car as they start to catch up to Michael McDowell. Here comes the 1 car to pit road, service penalty. It's a pass through.
Just drive through your pits, don't have to stop.
Hey guys, Chris Butcher did a nice job behind the one, though. He saw his hand out the window down the backstretch. It can be very questionable pulling out in the middle of the pack. Jamie McMurray did a nice job, Kelly.
Yeah, he's serving his penalty now, but not before pleading his case. Jamie's saying there's got to be some tolerance there. I was just trying not to wreck. I don't think I gained anything anyway, but of course the black flag was shown. He's serving his penalty now.
Make his way back out on to the racetrack.
Denny Hamlin to the outside of Chris Buescher here.
It's Eric Almirola, isn't it?
Or Eric, Eric Almirola, my bad.
10.
He made a great move right there to the outside of the 37, and now Daniel Suarez is coming up there thinking he might want to jump in front of that 10 car.
Daniel didn't commit to either one. He's kind of watching, trying to decide what he wants to do. Have to make a decision quickly.
Things heating up front now as people trying to decide what line to be in. Coming out of that line, the 19 of Suarez has jumped up in front of...
Suarez on the outside of the 21. He got a good side draft on Menard there. He's got great help behind him in a fast car of Eric Almirola. This could be great for this outside line to finally prevail. Look at everybody moving up. William Byron see that coming. Their spotters are telling them to get up the racetrack.
William Byron saw it
Byron.
William Byron with a little bit of a lead on the 2 car, but good. They're all together on the bottom. Good organization there to push Brad Keselowski back into the lead.
And that third lane's starting to work now. Jimmy Johnson in there. Remember we saw Jimmy Johnson in the wall.
How about the 42? I had written off Kyle Larson. He's right back in the mix.
Now the bottom is not organized. There's a big gap between second and third place. Could help this outside line if they can form up. Parker.
And guys, that block by William Byron, very important. If you remember back to the Daytona July race when he threw a block in the lead on Keselowski and got wrecked. Well, he looked at that and actually made a change inside that race car. They put a faster steering box inside that race car so he could make moves just like he did there to get in front of that top line and control the front.
Keselowski controlling the front, as you just mentioned.
I feel like that anything could happen any moment. These guys are really being aggressive right here, trying to get to this lead. They feel like they have the Stewart-Haas guys broken up. This is their opportunity to stake claim of this race.
Suarez moving up on the outside of the 21 of Paul Menard. Suarez trying to give a shove to the 24 William Byron. He's going to take the lead. Byron out front.
Now Byron, if I'm him, I jump in front of that 2 when that 2 car comes. That bottom groove should come back to Byron.
Tab Boyd, the spotter for young William Byron. How will that experience help this young driver stay in front of the pack at Talladega?
Got to watch that outside line, but right now the bottom groove seems to be closer together. Cars are tighter together. Got a third lane for him on the outside. That's going to play havoc a little bit on that inside line or that middle groove.
Yeah, 300 cars up there in that top lane. Jimmy Johnson's in there. He's a lap down, trying to stay the first car 1 lap down to get the wave around.
Let's listen in to Tab Boyd spotting for...
Perfect. Get these back to the bottom.
Spotting for Byron out front.
Back to the bottom. Perfect. Bounce your way. Nice. Stay in with the 19. Don't let them slip to the outside. There you go. Good everywhere. That's perfect. Nice work. Good by 2 here. That's 2. Good at 1.5. Keselowski's coming quickly. Staying with the 2. Staying with the 2. Favor to the top. Staying with the 19. He's out there. Out there. Out there. He drove the 2 back. Got a big run. That's all right. Still out there. 19. The 19 has no help. The 2 is with you. He's going to boost you back.
Oh, Brad's getting tight there.
You're clear. 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 Stand with the 2. Stand with the 2. Stand with the 2. Staying with the...
Man, I really thought Brad Keselowski was going to get into the quarter pound with the 19, but got to have the gas just a little bit as he's running up on the leader, William Byron. Something similar to what we saw Stenhouse do in the July Daytona race when he got into...
How about this 20-year-old from Charlotte, William Byron, leading the field at Charlotte as we go NASCAR nonstop. NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series racing. Talladega Super Speedway. It's the 1000bulbs.com 500, and you saw it during NASCAR nonstop. Penske making the power move to get by William Byron. And now they're running 1 and 2 but separated. So now it's Logano who's moved up. Ooh, big move there. The 19 of Suarez almost got turned by the 10 of Eric Almirola.
He had to lift. Now Eric Almirola's going to the back. He did a lot of work to get to the front, and that one move, look at all the spots he gave up. But if he hadn't lifted, it would have been a wreck.
It's broke up that inside line, too.
Yeah, Logano's dropping like a rock as well. He goes back to his teammate Ryan Blaney, and the 12 catches him.
Yeah, what happened right there is the 19 was chasing his car up off the bottom of the racetrack, and the 10 tried to go to the inside.
So now Keselowski out front. Here's that issue.
19's tight right here.
He was in the back of the 22, and that's what I think made him tight. And then the 10 drove underneath him, and then he got loose. The 10 had to lift. Eric Almirola just had to lift. And here's the pass. Brad Keselowski got to run because the 22 behind him gave him a little bit of a shot right there, pushed him forward. Logano putting a block on Suarez. Blocking and the side drafting is starting to pick up, guys.
And look who's coming up to the front now again. Stewart-Haas, the 41 and the 4 getting up there, Marty.
Business certainly picking up. Lap 129 here. And we talked to you about that all-in Ford meeting earlier today with the crew chiefs. All 14 crew chiefs in one room to plan out the strategy. Their thought here in the third stage, Steve, they want to pit about lap 145. That's the window to get them to the end and get them the track position they want. So how do you get 14 teams, drivers, and crew chiefs all on the same page to make this final stop, Steve?
Well, that's what's most difficult. And down on pit road, it's pretty easy. You can have guys run from pit box to pit box, but upstairs in the roof, these spotters, there's not a lot of wiggle room. They're all jammed in one little area. It's sometimes hard to get standing next to somebody. You're distracted. You have to be focused on what happens on the racetrack. And more importantly, can you get all the Fords out of the pack safely without somebody getting run over? Dale Jarrett and I questioned that 41 car and his aerodynamic setup. Could he get back to the front? Well, he's proving us that he can. He's worked back into the second position, and more importantly, split up the Penske teammates of Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano.
For Fords back up front, it's Keselowski, Kurt Busch, Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano, and then Suarez, Menard, William Byron back into 7. Now once again, that low line is starting to form, which we've seen through stage 1 and stage 2. Let's look at today's Ram trucks proven to last.
It starts out right there with track position. You want to be able to control those final restarts. If we get down to this race and we have late restarts, you want to be the control car when it comes down to it. Leading this race with about 50 laps to go. So you got to start working right now to get yourself into position to win this race.
And handling, how much is that going to play into a factor? If we get a short run late in the race, probably not so much. But if this thing goes long and tires are old, then handling will become a real issue.
Well, you mentioned it, Jeff. Tires. I expect to see green flag pit stops. 2 is the safe bet as far as the pit stop goes to make sure you don't lose the draft. But I'm really thinking I want 4 tires. I want to make sure my driver has the best and freshest Goodyear tires to battle these closing laps in the final stage.
As strong as we've seen the Stewart-Haas racing drivers, they still have to get by one of the best, Brad Keselowski. 5 wins here at Talladega. Joey Logano, 3 wins of the active drivers, and they're running in the top 4. So currently separated by 2 Stewart-Haas racing drivers in Kurt Busch and Kevin Harvick.
This is what we thought we'd see. Penske versus Stewart-Haas. When it came down to it, these 2 teams are the teams that have been the most successful, with Stewart-Haas being the fastest this weekend, but Penske having the most history of success over the plate racing.
All right, we showed earlier the 41 compared to the 22 in their aerodynamic setup. I don't think anything pays it off more than when you look at the first and second place car. Look at how much green spoiler you see on the right side of the 2 car versus the 41. They're in line. They're running straight down the straightaway. That is multiple inches of spoiler. When you talk about crab walking these cars or skew, that's a lot of drag difference between those 2 cars. But Dale Jr., that's also a lot of downforce when you get in a bad situation.
So in practice, Brad Keselowski talked to his crew chief, Paul Wolf, and said, I don't feel very comfortable with the skew and the way we had this car trimmed out. I'm way too loose getting down into turn 3. So they've made some decisions during the weekend to dial some of that skew out that you see in the 41 car to make his car more comfortable in the traffic that he's going to be in today in the race. Seems to be paying off for these guys.
Yeah, these are options that teams have. They can point that rear end one way or the other. You know, when we go next week to Kansas, they're all going to be to the right as far as they can get them. But here, you want to go to the left because it takes downforce away and it takes drag away and creates more speed. But there's a payoff for a bad handling car.
Marty.
And Rick, one other thing to notice, 7 of the top 9 cars right now, those Fords who want to pit together, there is a lot of code talk going on right now. I heard the 10 team say, are we sticking with Hot Dog? I've heard another team saying, are we sticking with MGD? Of course, that was a 2 team. So a lot of code talk going on right now. You know, pit stops are near.
If one of them yells Omaha, I'm going to say that that might be the code for Peyton Manning. Jump in. Keselowski, Kurt Busch, Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano. Again, the possibility of green flag pit stops coming up, so we want to take a quick break before that happens. Just happened. Jamie McMurray into the outside wall, and now he plowed into the grass and is stuck in the infield.
Yeah, he damaged the right front splitter. Looked like he had a left rear tire flat. It seemed the left rear tire failures are common. We get the new rules, the ride height rules on the plate cars. And that, you see how the front's dug into the dirt there, and it's tore the front of his car up so badly he's not going to be able to get it out of there.
Get it to you.
Take a look at the replay. This is coming through the tri-oval, coming into the tri-oval. Coming off of turn 4. And here he is, left rear tire, just like his teammate. Might be a global issue in these cars that they share. It's giving them problems with their left rear tire.
Slid down into the grass and just dug in. That turf we saw last week, a few weeks ago at Charlotte, hopefully be put in all these racetracks.
You see, Jamie was trying to get out, couldn't. So the crew gets to him. Probably wants to stay in the car.
In spring practice, he had another issue. We saw him flipping down the back straightaway. And I believe he had a left rear tire issue there. Same issue. So I think, Steve, they got to talk to these, you know, these teams and say, hey, what's going on with these left rear tires? Why are these left rear tires failing on these race cars since we went to the no ride height rule?
Yeah, Dale, I think you're absolutely right. And you mentioned a global issue at Chip Ganassi Racing. You know, it's one thing to think you have bad luck when you see both team cars have a flat left rear, and now Jamie McMurray 2 races in a row. Something has to be decided or changed with their setups or their ride heights. I mean, you have to finish these races, and it seems like most of the accidents we've seen today is because of flat tires. And for that reason, Rick, you know, these pit stops right here, I would be looking to put some fresh left side tires on it, not exactly knowing what the issue is. Man, this is a great time to get 4 fresh tires on it, 51 to go. You're probably going to have to come back for fuel at some point, but let's get some fresh rubber on the race car.
That footage we were showing was from earlier this year. He wrecked down the backstretch when the left rear tire went down. Now, on the tri-oval, he wrecks and stuck in the grass, so the safety crew's there to him now, and you're seeing the teams getting ready once again. The 6th caution has come out, 51 laps to go, and that is too far on fuel to make it all the way. Race leader Brad Keselowski leading the field onto pit road, Dave.
Discussion down here about whether to stay out for some teams. Kyle Busch's team had decided to do that, so that'll be interesting. Joey Logano's team, on the other hand, they want 4 fresh Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel. His car right now just a little bit free through the tri-oval, a little tight on compression in 3 and 4, Marty.
Dave, you're going to see right side tires for both Brad Keselowski and Kurt Busch. He said, we're in great shape. I cannot lose my track position for Brad Keselowski. Paul Wolf told him, I know you want more speed. We'll maybe dial that out for the comfort you want inside the car. The 41 right side tires, he said he was a little bit free, but pretty good at the end of the run. That 41 quickly off pit road, guys.
Yeah, winning the pole position gives you the opportunity of the #1 pit stall. Kurt Busch has taken advantage of that. and he wins the race off of pit road in front of Brad Keselowski. Let's go down to the Peacock pit box. Steve Letarte. It's time now for the Toyota Social Spotlight.
Yeah, Rick, every week we send out a question, so let's take a look at the question this week. At the beginning of the week, we sent out, Toyota Racing wants to know, on the white flag lap here at Talladega, what position do you want to be in to win the race? We've got a bunch of different answers. Aaron right here, somewhere between 3rd and 6th with a good dancing partner. You always need help here at Talladega. Another one right here, want to be on the lead lap on the white flag because it seems harder to make that last lap pass, so they want to be in the lead. And this right here, though, might be the most straightforward but the most honest answer, which is still inside the car and not in the garage. But guys, from what I've seen today, we talk a lot about handling and tires, but the leader really has dominated the race. I think you're doing everything you can for track position. Remember, this pit stop outside their fuel window. We're going to see everybody on pit road one more time. Love the call by the 18 of Kyle Busch. Stayed out. He should be the leader of the race.
All right, guys, what do you think? Where do you want to be? I mean, I want to be up front.
Yeah.
I'd want to be leading the race.
Controlling the race, controlling the last restart. Being in front, that's the best place to be. If you know how to get in front of the lines as they're coming, the inside and outside line are going to be coming. Get in front of them and use that energy that they give you to stay in front. We've seen Brad Keselowski do it. We've seen Joey Logano do it. With the way these cars draft today, out front's where I want to be.
So now with less than 50 to go, what you can expect to see is the blocking going way up. You're going to see more blocking. You're going to see more side drafting. This race has been pretty calm. For a Talladega race, I'd say it's been exceptionally calm. That's getting ready to change. I think now the aggression level is getting ready to go up. By the way, the 18 car, just a little bit of an update. The 18 car pitted the next lap, so he won't be the leader right here. But yeah, I think no matter who's leading right here, you can expect this race from here on to be much, much crazier than what we've seen so far.
It looks like it's going to be Kurt Busch who's going to end up being up front. And now looking about the top 10, you've got Kurt Busch, Brad Keselowski, Kevin Harvick, Ryan Blaney, Clint Bowyer, Eric Almirola, Menard, Logano. Again, Fords have risen to the top, and it's all Fords in the top 8, Kelly.
Well, it was the 28th place finish last week that has the 88 team of Alex Bowman feeling like they must win this race or the next one to stay alive in the playoffs. You need a dancing partner out there, and it sounds like his teammate Chase Elliott has offered up his services.
I just tell Alex, just use me. Don't feel like he has to stay loyal to me. Use me. Do whatever he has to do to move forward.
So Chase saying, tell Alex to use me to do what he needs to do to get forward. Look for the 9 and 88 to work together, Parker.
Right, Kelly. And in 4th place is Ryan Blaney, who's in a great position. He's right behind his teammate there, Brad Keselowski, hoping to push him. He's led 6 laps this race, and he just came across the radio to tell his team, if I'm not aggressive, I get swamped. Expect the aggression to go up on that 12 car, Dave.
In qualifying, Joey Logano knew he did not have the fastest car. Early in the race, he knew that he didn't have the fastest car, and it was rather hard to work the traffic in the 22 car. And so his crew chief, Todd Gordon, told him, you know what? We've got time to work on this car. That's the same thing you said in April. And you know what they did? They won this race in April, Marty.
Dave, how do you recap the day for Brad Keselowski? 41 laps into the race, they found out they had a loose left rear wheel. They came in, they fixed all of that. Now he's back on the lead lap with a shot to win this race. They have been so good at Talladega, but the concern for all these teams now, Steve, can they make it to the end on fuel? They've told Brad, you may have to use your switch or your reserve fuel just to make it to the checkered flag, much less overtime. This is going to be tight for these teams.
Well, I bet on another yellow and perhaps overtime. Burton, what happened? I climbed off the pit box. The 18 was a leader. I climbed back up, and he's nowhere to be found.
Yeah, he pitted the next lap. Now, see, Kurt Busch on the bottom, he picked the bottom because look behind him. You got Harvick. Behind him is Bowyer. That puts those Stewart-Haas teammates back together again. But on the outside, it paired up two Penske drivers.
Penske drivers on the outside. Stewart-Haas on the inside. And once again, diving into turn 1.
Look what happened there. Bowyer got a bad restart.
I wonder if he did that on purpose.
He jumped in front.
Just allowed his teammate to get inside there on that line. And now all 4 Stewart-Haas cars back on the inside, back organized. Oh, my goodness.
They did it again.
They did.
I said it was a bad restart, but that was
it was a great restart.
That was exactly what he wanted to do, and it made it work. But again, the aggression level is going to go up. I think now you start seeing more side drafting. You start seeing these guys. They know Stewart-Haas has the fastest car. They're going to have to do something something different than they've been doing in the early part of these races.
3 against 4. Stewart Haas versus Penske. Penske on the outside line, lined up. Brad Keselowski, Blaney, Logano all together, trying to make that outside work.
It's a shorter distance around the bottom of the racetrack. So right now, Stewart Haas Racing, who has the faster cars and has the preferred line, how does Penske battle that right now?
I don't know if they do. You're just going to have to side draft really, really hard on the car on the inside, make it almost impossible for him to clear you, and hope that you're getting that help from the car behind you as you get shoved forward to side draft the next car. So going to have to really be aggressive here. Really be aggressive.
Brad Keselowski running door-to-door right now with Clint Bowyer. That outside line, trying to hang on, trying to side draft if they can.
Paul Menard, that bright yellow car behind Clint Bowyer, they have a Penske affiliation. They work with Penske, cars, engines, technology. But he's stuck there having to help Clint Bowyer. Little replay right here. Watch Kurt Busch and Martin Truex Jr. They're in the pack.
Kyle.
They intentionally get out of the pack. They're going to go to the back. Now, keep in mind, both of these cars pitted. They came back in, topped off with fuel. They pitted on lap 140. The leaders pitted on lap 138, so they have 2 laps more fuel that they can run.
Look at that inside line behind the Stewart Haas cars. It's not organized. The middle line is actually the one that's most organized. This is the best chance for Penske to put something together over the next half a lap to a lap to maybe get up there and make a run on these guys.
I'm surprised as I look at the left side of the screen, 8 points below the cutoff line. One of the big 3. Martin Truex Jr. right now is 10th in the playoff standings.
If the 12 car can get to the quarter panel, he is. Look at him trying to get to the quarter panel. Clint Bowyer. That's going to push Brad Keselowski clear of Clint Bowyer.
Will he dive down?
Well, here comes the 21 of Menard. Back to the bumper of Bowyer. That's going to push him forward.
That'll push him back to the front. He's trying to get to that rear bumper of Almirola. He knows if he gets there, he'll probably be able to stay there.
Bowyer coming back now, battling back to try to get to his teammate's bumper.
That inside line just not quite organized enough behind Clint Bowyer, and that's allowing this outside line of Penske cars leading to have a shot here. They're working real hard. Look at Clint Bowyer getting over, trying to slow him down with the side draft. They're real tight, though. Brad Keselowski's got a great help behind him. He's clear.
Keselowski could jump in this bottom lane, but he's not going to do it. He's going to try to use this outside lane to work himself to the front. Could have taken that spot. Bowyer with a good run right there.
Bowyer back to the back bumper of the 10 of Eric Almirola. And so Stewart Haas Racing once again organized at the bottom of the racetrack out front of Talladega as we go NASCAR nonstop. Kurt Busch still out front as Monster Energy Cup Series racing from Talladega continues. Driving that Monster Energy car, and he has been a dominant one. 65 laps led already. Morning.
Hey guys, there's a growing concern about fuel down here for everyone. We told you earlier, Rodney Childers told Kevin Harvick, we're going to have to use our switch and our reserve tank just to make it to the checkered flag. Eric Almirola's told they're a half lap short. So Steve, how do you save fuel, especially if you're 41? You're leading the pack here. It's hard to save fuel when you're out front.
Well, I think he's the one of the biggest concern right here. You're riding on board with Kevin Harvick. I do think he has the opportunity to run part throttle a little bit when he gets a little bit of a toe to the 41. Kurt Busch, I'm not sure as a leader, guys, how you save fuel, but remember this. He knows how to do it at the restrictor plate tracks. He won the Daytona 500 by having the best fuel mileage. Maybe he could duplicate the task here again today.
The thing about that is with that fuel mileage issue for all these cars, it limits your real ability to jump out of line, because once you do jump out of line and create a second line on the outside, you're full throttle. You're not saving fuel anymore.
Yeah, you see right here, right there, see the green dots at the bottom? 3-4, 3-4, back and forth. I mean, he's close to wide open, Junior, but that tells me that pedal is a little bit off the floor, maybe 90 or 80% throttle.
So we're seeing that whole group of cars that's out front in this lead draft stay in line. All these guys trying to manage that fuel.
You guys are acting like this is going to go green for 38 laps.
Well, that's what we're
doing. Talladega, man.
No, but hey,
let's go back. Hey, Steve, let's go back and look at this second pack. There's 2 cars in particular I want to talk about because they are fully invested in this strategy. The 18 and the 78, look at where they're running. They're even behind this second pack. They're running in 28th and 29th position. And remember, we just told you that those guys, there they are, the back of this pack. Those guys pitted 2 laps after everybody else. So they have more fuel, but I mean, these guys, they have to believe a caution's coming out or they would not be riding back here. That is very risky. I mean, they're not that good in points. The 78 car right now would be below the cut line if the race ended right now. This is a very, very risky move. Dave.
And Jeff, as you know, if you don't have a race car that can run up front, this is a strategy you can employ. In fact, early in the race when Kyle was battling up front, he said, I just don't have the car to make these moves, and I know it. So the hangback strategy has been working for him instead and waiting until later when maybe a big one has happened and he wasn't in it, Marty.
And you see the top off on the right-hand, left-hand side of your screen there, 140 for all those Toyota cars, so they're planning on they can make it all the way. But Steve, the problem with the 78, it's a locker issue. That's not something they can fix during the race. They feel like it's unloading and not engaging correctly when they're in the corner, still jumping around on the rear end for that 78 car from Martin Truex Jr.
Yeah, so that's the rear gear, impossible to fix during the race. And I hear what you're saying, Jeff, about this strategy, but I got a Hall of Famer standing behind me, a 6-time restricted plate winner, Dale Jarrett, and every time we talk about these two, he nods with a smile. He says, you don't panic until 10 to go. You stay patient. And our point about fuel, Jeff, I don't think it's going to go green, but when the caution comes out, I don't want to come to pit road either. So save me some fuel, perhaps for overtime, but we want to be done coming to pit road.
And as they're running, Martin Truex Jr. 4 points below the cutoff line. The one thing that I would say, Dale Jarrett made the comment, you know, okay, don't worry until the last 10 laps. But they've also said, we haven't seen racing like this at Talladega or at a plate track in maybe decades, where a group has pulled away and that second group hasn't been able to catch them.
Well, these two guys are 6 seconds behind. And this isn't old Talladega where you can just mash the throttle and drive up to those guys in front of you. No one's been able to do that. Look, they've gapped them. So if they don't get a caution, they're not going to drive back up unless people start running out of fuel. Then under that situation, they would be in pretty good shape. But, you know, again, I have a hard time believing this thing's going to go green for the next 34 laps. Been to too many races at Talladega to believe that's going to happen.
A guy who knows what happens when the caution comes out at Talladega, Parker Kligerman.
That I do. And another guy maybe hoping for one or maybe doesn't need it is Paul Menard, because he gets the comeback of the day award. He was 2 laps down at one point in this race when he had a right rear tire go down and had to pit under green. Then when they got back running, he thought they had a broken shock inside that 21 car. They've gotten back on the lead lap and now find themselves in 5th place, and they said they're right on it with their fuel. They'll make it across that finish line, but no further right now. Great run for him.
And it could go overtime. That's the other thing that comes into play here. If this race goes overtime, remember it's 2.66 miles around here for 1 lap.
Watching this second line of cars, second group of cars behind this first pack, they sort of singled out as well. Not as much side by side in that pack as they're running a little bit higher around the racetrack. They're probably challenged by some of the handling being this far back in the pack. Not quite as clean as the air that they're having in the front of the pack. So you see that line they're taking, running higher.
So much faster to run the bottom.
Yeah, just adding, just adding feet to the lap here with the SHR cars leading that front group. They are going to be towing that lead pack so quickly.
That second pack, you see the second car in line, Jimmy Johnson. He had an incident earlier in the race. He's the lap down, but right now he's currently the recipient of the free pass if a caution comes out. So Jimmy Johnson currently running in 32nd. Kurt Busch still leading out front as we go NASCAR nonstop. And the field slowing down once again. A caution has come out. A tire got away. I believe that was from the 7 team of DJ Kennington. And so they will have to retrieve that. And so the caution comes out. That means that, well, for one thing, people are going to start saving fuel because of the caution. And another thing is we're going to have another restart. And we'll see how well Stewart-Haas Racing can orchestrate another restart.
And Rick, it's decision time for the crew chiefs. I don't think we're going to see Stewart-Haas Racing come to pit road, but who is going to come to pit road? Who thinks that they can recover? Who thinks that 4 tires is going to make a big enough difference with 28 laps to go, Jeff? Do they think that tires will allow them, their driver, to be more on the offensive? Maybe someone, 10th, 11th, 12th, somebody's going to come to pit road.
Yeah, I think if you're mid-pack, it's kind of a no-brainer. Come down pit road, hope tires help you. But to your point, Rick, these Stewart-Haas guys have been perfect on these restarts, working with each other to make lanes. But the guys behind them are sick of it. Like, to be honest, you're going to see people get more aggressive and try to break that up, because you know that's going to be, you got to split those guys up. Somehow you got to split them up, and the only way to split them up is to lay your front bumper on the rear bumper of the guy in front of you, in Bowyer's rear bumper in 4th, and push him harder than he wants to be pushed, and get him in a position where he can no longer help his teammates on the restart. That's really the only recourse you have.
Yeah, I definitely think, too, after the domination that you've seen from SHR all day long, that if I'm not one of those guys, I'm definitely coming to pit road to get tires. That gives me maybe the only advantage I can find on these guys is to have those tires and be able to be aggressive in the draft.
Still a long way to go, 28 laps. Pit road is open.
Man. Any takers?
Somebody take a left. Somebody.
Looks like Alex Bowman is going to be the first to make that left turn onto pit road. Kelly.
And I didn't think the 88 would come because they were telling Alex Bowman to save hard, but Greg Ives, the crew chief, making a last-second call there. So we'll see if it's going to be 2 or 4. Looks like 2-tire call there for the 88.
Kyle Larson on pit road. They've been working on repairing that 42 all afternoon long. Couple more tweaks here and off of pit road. Also, Kyle Busch on pit road. They were running 25th. Said no reason not to come down here, put some tires on it, top off the fuel, Marty.
Martin Truex Jr. also on pit road, been hanging out back there with Kyle Busch, so they're going to come to pit road together and make synchronized stops here for Goodyear tires for Martin Truex Jr. Goodyear, our Sunoco fuel to make it to the end here, and that could be key, but I think with saving here, guys, everyone should be good to the end now.
And the 48 gets the free pass. When we come back, another great restart from Talladega. Will this be the calm before the storm? The last 2 weeks, Monster Energy Cup Series racing at the end of the races has been crazy.
Martin Truex Jr. gets hit by Johnson. Into the wall and into the tube.
Absolutely terrible.
It'll be a fight for the finish line.
Keep coming middle. Keep coming. Come on.
Ryan Blaney will win.
That was awesome.
Chase Elliott's going to win at the Monster Mile.
That's what I was talking about. That's how you do it, Brian. Wrap around and go, yes!
So many things shaking up in the last laps of these races, and we still have 25 to go in this one. Steve.
Yeah, Rick, 25 to go. The gloves are definitely off. We're going to see pushing, shoving, side drafting. But, guys, I have a little concern, and it's right on the restarts. We have seen the 4 Stewart-Haas cars play well together. Really unbelievable. Watch this restart right here. The 3rd car on the inside, Clint Bowyer. He's literally not going to accelerate. Drag the brake perhaps a little bit. Let the 10 of Eric Allenhofer turn left and get in front of him. Burton, I don't see the 21 lifting like he did right here. If I'm the 21, I'm shoving the 14 into that gap. They cannot let these 4 SHR cars line up. They'll be starting next to one another again on this restart.
I agree with you, Steve. I think the anger level is getting ready to go up. I mean, you're tired of getting beaten so badly by these Stewart-Haas cars. You can't let them keep doing that. You're going to have to do something different, Junior. If you get them lined up, they're going to be almost impossible to beat. So you got to do something, and the only way to do it is to get aggressive here on this restart. Stop it before it ever starts.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to be able to stop it. This guy's been doing so well with this orchestrated move all day long on these restarts, and looks like they'll be doing it again.
Let's get a few updates before the green flag. Kelly.
Well, with the win last week, Chase Elliott has nothing to lose, and he has been happy behind the wheel of the 9 car, but being patient, he feels like it could be more aggressive and make some moves if he has a little help. And just a moment ago, he said patience is out, Parker.
Kelly, the guys were just talking about, but I think Paul Menard is one of the most crucial aspects coming up here, where he decides to go. Does he stay low, or does he go up top and try to work with his Penske teammates? His spotter, Stevie Reeves, just came over the radio and said, I think we stay in the bottom, Dave.
Clint Boyer runs fourth, but he wanted to know about points, so they told him, hey, we're in. They didn't tell him he's only in by 2 points, maybe 3, maybe 1, and when this thing goes green, Marty, they're going to be all over the place.
Dave, Kevin Harvick told us in the pre-race show, we just can't seem to get a result at these restrictor plate races, but these things are cyclical, and boy, has it come back to Stewart-Haas Racing today. They've been very impressive. Rodney Childers told Kevin Harvick a moment ago, you're better than your teammates late in a run. Let's take advantage of it.
The last elimination race, it was a tie between 3 drivers. To determine the tie, we had to go to the tiebreaker to find out who would advance. Well, look at the points right now. 2 points out. Eric Almirola, Martin Truex Jr., Ryan Blaney tied. Brad Keselowski, Clint Boyer only 1 point ahead of the cutoff line.
All right, we'll see what these guys are going to do. Will they be aggressive on this restart? Try to keep these Stewart-Haas guys from pulling the same trick time and time again. Looks like the Stewart-Haas guys are forming up to make that move, and there's nothing happening behind them, Jeff. I'm a little concerned.
Yeah, Menard's got to get on the bumper of that 10 car. Just push him harder than he wants to go. Not going to be able to do it.
Oh, looks like the 9 car's pushing the 14 pretty good.
14's getting a heck of a shove. Will he move in front of the 4, or will he have to stay door to door with him? They're not going to be able to line up this time.
Now he's going to go down in front.
The 14 is able to dive in there. What a move. Clint Boyer moves into second.
That's how committed they are to making this work. Clint Boyer could have stayed there and tried to get the lead, but instead he went in and got behind his teammate Kurt Busch. It's worked all day. Why not do it now?
Now the aggression level will be at an all-time high. 24 laps remaining from Talladega.
I think the only way you're going to beat those guys on the inside is for everyone to go to the outside line. There's so much organization on this bottom groove that the Stewart-Haas guys just get shoved around the racetrack out in the lead. There's not enough cars to outside to gang up on that inside line.
Guys, I talked to Clint Boyer earlier this weekend, currently in the 2nd position.
Hopefully we'll get that elusive win. We need a win. Did you hear me?
Did you all catch on? Say it again.
I need a win.
Guys, he was joking, but not really. He was serious. He has to win, so he's committed to his teammates now. But with 23 to go, how long will it last? When will Clint Boyer decide he has to race for himself and dump his teammates?
Guys, how long do you stay patient?
Well, I think you can stay patient quite a while right now, because when you look behind you, you're like, okay, there's going to be a wreck. There's going to be a caution. It's gotten crazy behind you, so just stay in line. I don't see any reason for any of these guys in the front 4 to move anywhere.
Yeah, I think you need to stay cautious right now if you're those 4, because behind them it is mayhem, and there is a potential opportunity for a crash here to bring out another yellow. They definitely want to be the front 4 cars so they can continue to do what they're doing on these restarts.
We saw the 9 of Chase Elliott go down. A little side drafting on the 2. He pulled the 2 back, but not far enough. He wasn't able to get down there in front of him.
And once again, while all this is going on, look what's going on in front. That front group's just driving away. The side by side on the outside, Chase Elliott has no choice. Ryan Blaney has no choice. This is where they are. They've got to try to make it work, but it's just giving more of an advantage to these front 4, 5, 6 cars.
The outside line just fading more and more as we keep putting laps down. They're all tightly together and organized. They just cannot match the speed of the Stewart-Haas cars leading that inside line. We talked about it all day long, but it's the truth. I mean, there's just no way to beat these guys one-on-one.
Have we seen a manufacturer work this well together? Right now, the top 7 cars are all Ford, and they had a plan coming into this race.
Chase Elliott just jumped out of line. For some reason, lost a couple spots back into line in front of Denny Hamlin.
There we go, single file. 21 to go at Talladega, single file, and that's all because of the speed of those front 4 cars. This is something we have not seen here in forever. Took 4 cars, a group of cars, being able to control the pace like this and drive single file. Hey, it's only been 3 laps since the restart. I mean, normally we're double wide, 3 wide, but their speed has just taken away that option from their competition.
Marty.
Hey, Rick, put yourself in Eric Almirola's shoes. He was a quarter lap from winning the Daytona 500 earlier this year. Last week at Dover, a handful of laps from winning that race. All day long, he's been sitting in that 4th spot, riding like a good soldier for Stewart-Haas Racing. I say he would be the first one to make a move. He knows he needs to win. I asked him before the race, is today the day? He said, I have a pretty good feeling about it.
He's going to need help, though. One car is not going to be able to go by 3. So he'll have to have somebody that can help him. Right now, Paul Menard is behind him.
Yeah, as long as the SHR guys are organized, they're going to control this front until the very last lap. But maybe one of them might pull out to try to go for the win. If Clint Boyer, that's my plan.
Kurt Busch, Clint Boyer, Kevin Harvick, Eric Almirola. Stewart-Haas Racing has been out front almost this whole race. We go NASCAR nonstop. Make sure to join us on NBC at 5:30 for post-race coverage. Then extended post-race coverage on NBCSN at 6 and hashtag Victory Lap at 6:30. Tonight on NBC at 7 o'clock, it's football night in America. Then Sunday Night Football. Chiefs, Patriots at 8:20 for that kickoff. And let's get some updates on the guys running up front. We'll start with Kurt Busch and Marty.
And he's led 89 laps today, Rick. He wants updates on everybody behind him. And for a team that's flying underneath the radar, what a way to go into the round of 8 if they can pull this off. 15 to go, Dave.
Clint Boyer hasn't led 1 lap today. Second place there in the white 14, but he'd like to lead the final lap. Didn't he tell somebody he needed to win this weekend? He's 2 laps to the good on fuel, so that issue is out. And what would be better than taking a trophy home to Kansas next week, Marty?
Same for Kevin Harvick. They've told him you're 2 laps to good on the fuel. Don't worry about that. And Rodney Childers reminded him, into the run, we've had the best handling car, those Stewart-Haas cars. For Eric Almirola, his teammate behind him, he keeps asking about who might go with him. They've tried to advise him, maybe those Penske cars behind you might go. Eric might make a move to the top soon, Parker.
Already behind him is Paul Menard, one of those Team Penske cars. Although he drives Wood Brothers, he works for the Team Penske cars, and he would be the key here. I would expect a bunch of talk on the radio about the move to make. There's been nothing. He's been absolutely silent throughout this run, Marty.
Behind him, a corporate teammate, Brad Keselowski, sitting in 6th, imploring his team with other teammates behind him, let's make a move to the top. Here's the radio.
All right, we just got to go together, all 3 of us, or we got no chance. When everybody's ready, let me know.
That's the best thing I've heard all day long, Marty.
Exactly. You're the one who's been saying this. Let's everybody, ditch those Stewart-Haas cars and force them to make a move.
I just think that's the only way they're going to do it is to break those guys up one at a time by getting on that right rear quarter panel. First off, Eric Almirola, get on the right rear quarter panel of that car, suck him back to the 2 car, and then try to take the 21 car and put it in between those guys and do that one at a time. Leapfrog them one at a time, and maybe you can break them up.
So you've got a strategy.
I think that's the only way it works.
How can you convey that to these guys down there?
That's the only thing. They're going to have their spotters communicating on top of the grandstands about what they want to do. And they're going to need a lot of guys to go with them. Not just the Penske cars are going to be able to do it.
The question is, where's the opportunity going to come? Where's the momentum coming from? Where's the energy coming from to be able to make that move? Something's going to happen up front, to check that front 4 up in some form or fashion to get some energy behind them, even to make the move. If you just turn right now with it outside, nothing's going to happen. You got to find like that right there. That's what you got to have.
He lifted right there, so they need to go. When Brad's talking about wanting to go, that was his opportunity to do that. But
if Menard can get that run on Almirola,
he's getting it.
That's when you got to make that move.
Menard just got it. When Brad went up to him, Menard got that push, and Menard decided to stay in line.
But guys, Brad Keselowski's going to have to get out of line. Paul Menard has not shown any offense. He's done a nice job staying on that double yellow line. But Brad Keselowski, Joe Logano, they are the Pied Pipers. They are the dominant duo here at Talladega. They need to quit worrying about the 21, get on his corner panel, and he needs to be their first casualty in this. They can't let him work on the 10.
Well, you see behind them, though, you see Alex Bowman and Eric Jones. They're in the outside lane. Well, that's killing the inside. That's killing the opportunity to jump up and make a move because now they're getting back. Now they're getting single file. Now if you get some momentum, you can jump up on the outside and people can go with you. You got to find that energy. So see the 2-car? He's falling back from the 21. Now if he can get moving forward and when he catches the 21, then can make a move.
Here comes 12.
Blaney on the outside.
Now will they work together? Will Penske drivers try to move to the outside?
I think we're putting enough guys together that are on the offense. They're thinking offense. Will they all continue to work together?
We talked about Kyle Busch several times back there in the back of the pack. He's now running to 14th. Well, he and Bubba Wallace off of turn 2 a little while ago. Oh, that's close.
Very close.
Yeah, he gets to the outside of Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace wanted to block that move. It's just too late. He's there.
No contact with the wall.
All right, so this is another opportunity for the 21 to get a run. He's going to get a run here. He's getting a push off the 2-car.
If he does get some momentum, I have to believe he's going to have to make a move right here. It's gaining on 22.
22's pushing the 2. Here it comes. It's happening right here. Here goes Brad.
Brad makes the move. He goes outside around the 21. The 22's going to follow. 9 laps to go at Talladega.
Everybody's got to go with this group on the outside. Bowman's going up there.
They're not going to do it.
Blaney needs to go.
They're going to be double wide. Here comes some runs from behind. That could help this outside lane.
The 22, that'll put you out of Menard.
A big run from Eric Jones in the 20. He comes up to the back bumper, the 88 of Alex Bowman.
Guys, that's a huge mistake by Ryan Blaney. That was the time to go. He had to follow his teammates.
So now they can't quite clear Menard. They've got to get about 3 or 4 cars to clear Menard. Bowman's cleared Menard. Now if Eric Jones can clear him.
They're running up high, but now they've got about a 5 to 6 car gap between that lead pack and Brad Keselowski.
Here comes Kyle Busch. You just got to get enough cars to build that energy. Now the whole group's double wide. Now the energy is done. It's shot.
This is not good. But look on the bottoms, lining up again. But 88's going to go to the outside of the 2. Not going to work together. Try to catch this lead pack. 88 almost wrecks, getting really loose off of turn 2.
And remember, Junior, the 88 has the freshest tires, so he should be the most aggressive on the wheel, I would think.
Stewart-Haas Racing has to be loving this. Going on behind him. Now the gap is 10 car lengths.
That's exactly right, Rick. All the Stewart-Haas spotters and drivers saying, stay in line, no one move. Let's break away our 4 cars from that bigger pack behind us.
Wow, look at that 22 car off the nose of 88. These guys need to work together. I know it's easy for us to say up here in the booth, but really that's what's got to happen for them to get up there and try to challenge the Stewart-Haas guys before the Stewart-Haas guys actually get too far away to be able to run down with 7 laps to go.
There's still time. If they can ever get this settled out, there's enough cars. If they get 6 or 7 cars single file, 7 laps to go, there's enough time. Bowman with a big run. He's going to clear Blaney. Got to run in front of Blaney. Turn left. Turn left. Forget about Eric Jones. There you go. Now let's see what happens with Eric Jones.
Oh, he went too far. He went all the way to the inside.
Well, there you go. Now we're double wide again.
Yeah, I mean, look at this pack back there. This is building more toward us having an accident than these guys organizing and running down the Stewart-Haas cars with this type of racing back here. This is what we typically see when we see the big one, and I think one's brewing up. 7 laps to go.
Now
7 to
6 as they go through the tri-oval. 6 laps to go at Talladega. The 4 Stewart-Haas Racing cars have separated themselves. Now it's almost 15 car lengths back to the second pack.
You know, we keep saying they need to work together, but at this point, there's so many cars here that's kind of hard to do it. And what does Keselowski do? Just lift, slow everybody up, and get everybody single file? It's very hard to make all that happen. But you said it, Junior. The stuff's starting to happen back here.
Yeah, I think their best chance is to try to get Blaney, better yet, Logano and Keselowski out front of this group to be able to run these guys down. I think those 2 guys will be smart enough to know exactly what to do when they catch that front 4.
Penske nose to tail on that outside line. Will they make this work? This momentum right here. Also, Bowman has tucked in behind the 2.
Got to have something happen to slow the momentum down, to separate enough cars to get them single file. I just don't see it happening right now.
And Jeff, it's a 2-second lead by those front 4 cars now. 2 seconds over the pack.
Yeah, it's up to 20 car lengths now, from 4th all the way back to 5th. The lead pack is separated from that second pack, and the second pack still has not organized. They continue to run too wide. They continue to try to side draft, to pull cars back, and all they're doing is pulling themselves away from the lead pack.
You're right, Rick, but what are you supposed to do? If you're Paul Menard, I mean, you know, you're racing for your spot. You want to be the guy that's leading that line. It's just really hard.
Big run by the 22 here, Joe Logano. Brad Keselowski, 88 to the outside. Make it 3 wide, putting Brad in the middle.
4 to go. And now the tension building back here in this big pack. A wreck right now could ruin Stewart-Haas Racing's day. Kurt Busch had never won a pole at a restrictor plate track. He did it yesterday. Now, Kurt Busch out in front, looking to win at Talladega.
Coming down to 3 to go. That group back there just not able to organize. So much side drafting has kind of locked them all together. And there's nothing you can do about it but sit there and try to push the guy in front of you and push him clear.
The one thing this has opened up is that this has opened up the opportunity for those guys in the Stewart-Haas Racing camp to race against themselves. Now there's a big enough lead. If you made a move and got too wide, these guys don't have enough time to run you down. So to me, it's opened the door. It's given permission for maybe Harvick to make a move, Bowyer to make a move. This is getting tight back here.
Yeah, this is real tight. These guys are really aggressive.
Stewart-Haas Racing has successfully separated themselves, and now they're going to fight amongst themselves.
Oh, we got a crash in the back here in turn 4.
Into turn 4, up into the wall. The 23 is there, as well as Alex Bowman in the 88. The caution will come out.
Right damage, guys, right rear.
It's going to go to overtime.
You knew it was coming. You knew it had to happen.
Pretty heavy right damage.
William Byron involved. Alex Bowman, as well as that 23 of J.J. Yaley. Free pass will go to Ryan Newman. So much damage to the 23 of Yaley. Alex Bowman in the 88 said how much they needed a win at this racetrack. And you see all the damage. The left rear torn up. The right front. Bowman had come into this race 34 points below the cutoff line. Now 63 points out. That's a must-win situation for him in Kansas.
Let's take a look at the replay over in turn 3.
We knew something like this was about to happen.
Got Alex in the middle on the outside. Trevor Bayne. Trevor gets a little loose, but they're 4 wide here. And it looks like that Alex gets loose. Just the air around that car created that. I do not believe that the 32 of Matt DiBenedetto touched that 88. It was just where the 88 was and the lack of downforce and air and side force on that car. It just got loose and spun out.
And not something uncommon with these Hendrick Motorsports cars. We've seen this over and over. When they get 3 wide and get in these compromising positions, they become very difficult to drive, and the cars, you know, that's probably the 7th, 8th time we've seen a Hendrick Motorsports car do that over the last several years.
So they continue to work on Alex Bowman's car. The other number I think that was surprising when we were showing the playoff points is the fact that Martin Truex Jr. in the 78 car, 3 points below the cutoff line. There you see it. That 78 is 3 points back. Eric Almirola 3 points back.
Well, look at the work that Clint Bowyer's done today. They've done a great job, but still only 6 points to the good. Eric Almirola has gotten 14 stage points today and 3 points behind still. So, you know, they've done a good job, but they still, it's put them in a better position for next week. And by the way, this race isn't over by any means. You know, anything can happen with maybe a 2-lap shootout.
Yes.
You know, they've played well together so far, but I think now it's probably your best interest not to work with your teammates. Now I think they'll be double wide trying to get the win.
Jeff, we're going into overtime. And Steve, I got to ask you, lap 138 was when these guys up front were on pit road. Did they have enough fuel?
Well, Rick, you heard all the pit reporters report. Most of the guys up front were 1 or 2 laps to the good. Well, they are burning that fuel quickly. You're on board with Kevin Harvick. You heard no engine coasting down the backstretch. So I have some concerns for the leaders. Not only do they have enough fuel, but will the fuel be where it needs? Remember, the start-finish line here at Talladega is down past the tri-oval. That means when you step on the accelerator for the first time in the restart, you are in the banking of the tri-oval. The fuel pickup is in the right corner of the fuel cell. As the fuel moves to the left, it could easily run out of gas. Let's listen in to what Kevin Harvick had to say about his chances.
All right, man, that's exactly what we did need. I don't know what your thoughts are here. We're just talking about it, but we don't need to run out of fuel after the green. Finish dead last.
You heard the concern on the radio of the 4, and as I look at the leaderboard, all the SHR cars were on pit road at 138, but this guy right here, Mr. Restrictor Plate himself, I know he did not have the best Daytona, was caught in a lot of accidents. Well, he's currently running 8th. And he was last on pit road at 161. No fuel concerns for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He's shutting it off right here. I'm guessing Burton probably just to cool that engine, have max horsepower for the start.
Yeah, that's right. Steve, I found that really interesting that hearing Rodney Childers talk to Kevin Harvick, it almost sounded like, hey, do you think we should pit here and put fuel in so that we don't run out with one to go and lose all these points? That's how close it sounds like they are.
And well, Jeff, there's 30 cars in the lead lap. 30 cars. Kevin Harvick's running 3rd. He can lose 27 points in a half a mile. We saw Casey Kane lose 4 or 5 points to be knocked out of the playoffs in a half a mile of racetrack. If you run out of gas here, Marty, it can be very costly in the points department.
And Steve, the Stewart-Haas racing cars just finished the math. Both Kurt Busch and Kevin Harvick have been told we are good for 1 green-white checkered. We know what Talladega is. If they have a second green-white checkered, they've been told they cannot make it for that. They've done a masterful job all day long, but if there's more than 1 overtime, they could be in trouble.
Yeah, and Marty, you said they've done a masterful job all day long, and they have. They have been perfect on every restart. But Junior, what do you do now with a essentially, overtime rules? What do you do now? I don't think you can afford to check the line up and now get a line. Now I think it's a race between these guys.
I think you sit there and say, hey, we put ourselves in this position. Now it's every man for himself. We've done what we were wanting to do all day long by being in control of these restarts late in this race to win. Now we're just going to go out there and run as hard as we can. And we'll see which duo does the best job on this restart in this lap to put themselves in position to win.
Kelly.
All right, so the strategy for Chase Elliott is to be on the safe side. Alan Gustafson calling Chase to pit road that time. It was 4 tires and a splash of fuel for the 9. What do you think of that, Steve?
Well, this is the advantage of a win last week. He doesn't have to worry about points. So he said, listen, I can't win in the position we're at. My best chance. Alan Gustafson always trying to have an advantage. Let's put fuel in our race car. You never know. We get multiple overtimes. We still haven't seen the big wreck, guys. I'm still thinking maybe there's one getting ready to show up.
Scheduled distance of this race, 188 laps. We have just passed that. Fuel definitely could be an issue. This wreck here brings us to an overtime situation. The restart when we return.
It's been a while, Todd. I see you on your fancy mobile application.
Yeah, it's the new Sunoco app. I can pay straight from my phone, so I save time.
What about saving our relationship, Todd?
I also get rewards.
Is punching in your 5-digit zip code not rewarding enough, Todd?
Well, it's just more convenient.
You'll be back, Todd. I'll be waiting.
Introducing the new Sunoco mobile app. It's the fastest way to fuel. Just tap, pump, go.
This is actually under your budget.
That's great.
Yeah, and when you move in, Geico could help you save on renter's insurance.
Yep, Geico helped me with renter's insurance, too.
The walls seem a bit thin.
They are, and Craig practices the accordion every night.
Says the guy who sings karaoke by himself.
I'm a very shy singer.
You're tone deaf.
Yeah, shall we move on to the next one?
It's a great building. You'll love it here.
We have mixers every Thursday.
Geico. It's easy to switch and save on homeowners and renters insurance.
This one looks empty. What do you think? Oh, dude, stop. What? I got a ring. What are we supposed to do? Well,
Tell you what I'd do. I'd start running.
let's maybe
Now, gentlemen, hustle!
Go.
Does your doorbell do that? Ours does. Get tough on crime with the Ring Video Doorbell. Keep your home and your neighborhood safe. Available at ring.com.
Hi, I just wanted to tell you that Chevy won a J.D. Power Dependability Award for its midsize car, the Chevy Malibu. I forgot, Chevy also won a J.D. Power Dependability Award for its light-duty truck, the Chevy Silverado. Oh, and since the Chevy Equinox and Traverse also won, Chevy is the only brand to earn the J.D. Power Dependability Award across cars, trucks, and SUVs 3 years in a row. Third time's a charm.
Here's a good Halloween trick. Buy a bunch of Reese's. There you go. Turn off all the lights in your house. Yeah. And then you just don't answer the door. Not sorry, Reese's.
I am the $5 lunch from DQ, and variety is my modus operandi. That's Latin for new burger, new salad, and strips, all with a DQ Sunday. That's English for Carpe Diem. Because I'm not fast food. I am fan food.
We know this is going to be crazy as far as the end of this race, but think about the elimination race next week. Next Sunday, it's Kansas for the elimination race to find out who will be the 8 drivers fighting for the championship. And again, stay with us for post-race coverage. That will be right after the checkered flag. Then extended post-race coverage on NBCSN at 6 o'clock and 6:30. It's hashtag Victory Lap also on NBCSN. It's 7 o'clock on NBC, Football Night in America. Then kickoff for Sunday Night Football at 8:20. The Chiefs and the Patriots.
All right, so we saw some guys down here on the apron trying to keep the fuel cell pickup full of fuel, but these guys in this outside line don't have that luxury. Will they have enough fuel in the pickup?
Let's remind everyone the overtime rules, it's 2 laps. A 2-lap shootout. If a caution comes out before they get to the white flag, we'll go another attempt at overtime. Once the leader takes that white flag, then the next flag will end the race. It's either the caution or the checkered. But there are unlimited attempts at this overtime. Marty.
Rick, you see one of those cars on the apron, Kevin Harvick. He said all of a sudden the fuel pressure dropped. He flipped his switch going to a reserve tank. They think they may not have enough fuel even to make it to the green flag here. They're talking about maybe coming down pit road, Parker.
And Marty, Ryan Blaney's in the same position. Just said it started sputtering there. He's flipped the switch as well. Real fuel concerns for the 12 car as well.
Just heard him say they're coming to pit road.
So that's going to split that's going to change the game. Now, you see Blaney, he's out of fuel. He's out of fuel. Harvick, he's coming to pit road. That moves Logano behind Boyer. That's going to change the strategy of these Stewart-Haas cars.
No strategy at all now for Stewart-Haas Racing because one of their players completely off the track on pit road. Here they come to the restart zone. Overtime presented by Credit One Bank. Green flag back in the air, 2 laps to go.
And be watching for somebody to run out of fuel in this pack and cause a major problem.
Up through the gears. The 41 accelerating well. Kurt Busch looking for the win. Clint Boyer running second. Almirola third on that outside.
Big push coming from the outside. Both lines are organized. But Kurt Busch is going to stop that inside line. Here comes Almirola.
Almirola on the outside.
Big push from Boyer on the 41.
And now runs out of gas now, Rick. It's going to be a huge wreck. The 4 is out of gas. How can the teammates still be running?
Did he save enough fuel? The 41 of Kurt Busch blocks Almirola. Coming back to the white flag.
You got to know Eric Almirola is super hungry. He had so many chances to win races, hadn't been able to pull one off. If he can get some help from behind, he's going to be aggressive.
One more time around. Will they have enough fuel? Their teammate ran out of gas. Into the wall. Matt DiBenedetto in the 32.
And there's a big wreck behind you. Big wreck behind you.
The caution won't come out if it will not affect the end of this race. We'll see if NASCAR will throw it. If they have to get to the drivers to make sure they're okay, they would throw a caution. But right now, they're still green.
Look at that Stenhouse. Doesn't have any help. He's going to get up here and give a push to the 10, but he doesn't have any help behind him.
Almirola.
There he goes. Almirola
to the outside.
The 41's out of gas. Almirola to the lead.
Almirola comes out of 4. Does he have enough gas to get to the finish line? Almirola all the way to the bottom of the track. Eric Almirola is going to win at Talladega. Eric Almirola gets the win, and now he's locked in to the round of 8.
Good job, everybody. Great job, guys. Awesome.
coming out of turn 4. Saw an opportunity. Moves to the outside of the 41. Kurt Busch runs out of gas coming out of 4.
And how about NASCAR not throwing the caution? They felt like everybody was safe. Nobody needed to get attention immediately. They let it play out. They let the race happen. This is something we've heard from the fans. They want this to happen. That's a gutsy call from NASCAR not to throw the caution. It's out of character, but they looked around, believed everybody was fine. They let this race in.
And out of all the teammates, those SHR teammates, it looked like Eric Almirola had done the most in fuel savings to put himself in position to make it to the end.
Well, remember, Eric Almirola was always running back and forth, so he probably wasn't having to be in the gas as much as everybody else that was in front of him. He was always back there behind his teammates.
We've seen him have success in plate tracks before. He's a great plate racer.
And this has been coming. This team didn't just jump up and luck into a plate win. They've continually been putting themselves in position to win races. It hasn't happened. Today they got a little break. They've had some breaks happen against them today. They had Kurt Busch run out of fuel that opened the door. But that's what happens when you put yourself in position enough times. You eventually are going to get that win.
This moment right here, presented by Sunoco. Fueling victories all season long, and it came down to fuel. Eric Almirola saved enough, and he now will be able to celebrate at Talladega. First win for Eric Almirola in 2018 in the Monster Energy Cup Series.
Not only has he won a race and projected himself into the next round, but he has fulfilled a dream for this season, to come to this team, be a part of this team, and become a winner. And he's watched his teammates win all year long.
Let's go down to Rutledge while Eric pulls his helmet off.
Rick, the joy is so real on Eric Almirola's face right now. To grab that checkered flag. Eric, all day long, you guys just dominated top 4 cars. But you, my friend, were the one that made it through for the finish. Congratulations on that win, buddy.
Oh, man. That is so awesome at Talladega. You guys are awesome. Man, I've been so close so many times this year. And the Smithfield team, everybody believing in me, Tony Stewart, Gene Haas, for giving me a chance. 4 or 5 times this year, I feel like we've had a shot to win and haven't been able to seal the deal. And to come here, a place that I love. I won an Xfinity race here last year, and I just love racing at Talladega. And I came to the track with a mindset that we're going to go race and we're going to go give them hell. And if we wreck, we wreck. And if we win, we win. And we won.
You did it, buddy.
And what a cool time to do it too. Smithfield did this awesome promotion with Bacon for Life. Somebody's going to win Bacon for Life. Literally, Bacon for Life.
Unbelievable. And the fans here cheering you on. The discipline that took to get to victory lane, you have done it. Congratulations.
What a team effort, too. There's 400 employees back at Stewart-Haas Racing. There's close to 200 employees at Roush Yates Engine Shop. Thank you. This was an incredible race. The 4 of us were so committed to each other and so organized. And nobody, the field couldn't touch us. It was us against the field. And what an impressive run by Stewart-Haas Racing. So I'm just proud to be the one on top today.
What do you want to say to these fans?
I love you guys, man. This is awesome. Woo! I can't believe it. We finally did it. Finally.
Congratulations, buddy. We'll see you in victory lane.
Thank you. I can't wait to go see my guys. My pit crew, my guys that work on this car, they deserve it, man. They bring such awesome race cars to the track. And I feel like I've let them down more than anybody, more than myself. I feel like I've let them down so many times because we've had so many opportunities to win and haven't done it. So this one's for them, man. I can't wait to go celebrate with them. And hopefully there's some cold beer over there for me to have.
You got it, buddy. Congratulations. Your winner, Eric Almirola.
Cold beer and bacon. I mean, what better combination than that? And he just said, somebody will win bacon for life.
The place went nuts. When he said bacon, man, the whole place went nuts.
Well, you see the emotion for Aric Almirola. Such excitement there. It's been 149 races between his first win, his first and only win, which came at Daytona, and now this one. And Jeff, we mentioned that caution that came out as they had gone past the start-finish line. And we're going to look back now on that caution. Everyone, by the way, is out of their cars. Only the 9 of Chase Elliott and the 32 of Matt DiBenedetto, they're going to go to the infield care center.
Yeah, you see 42 of Larson trying to push Matt DiBenedetto through that pack.
So the 9 and 32 are caught up in this one.
He touches the 6, and that gets the 6 car into the right rear quarter panel of Matt DiBenedetto and turns him into the wall. And then you see all those guys behind him, nowhere to go, trying to avoid it, getting into each other.
See Truex and Kyle Busch. Truex.
Yep. The 18 still rolling forward, but we also saw that the 78 was involved in it. And it was this move on before as the 41 ran out of gas. The 17 struggling as well, but it was all Aric Almirola getting his second career win, his first here at Talladega, and a guaranteed spot in the round of 8. Almirola making his way to victory lane. Let's look back on the season that he's had and how close he has been to start the season during the Daytona 500. Down the backstretch, leading, and gets turned around by the eventual winner, Austin Dillon. Frustration for Aric Almirola. Then, last week at Dover, he led 64 laps, dominant car, and on the final restart, gets into the wall, and it slips through his fingers. But today, after following teammates around this super speedway, it was Aric Almirola who rose to the occasion, and Almirola wins for Stewart-Haas Racing. Teammates working together, and you see Kevin Harvick coming over there congratulating Aric Almirola.
That's all 4 Stewart-Haas cars this year have won races now.
Organization definitely on a high, and Aric Almirola making the move to Stewart-Haas Racing this year, and now getting his first win with the organization, second career win. And you saw how emotional he was when he climbed out of that car on the start-finish line. We're going to see it again, Marty.
Aric Almirola climbing out. Well, you can feel that emotion. First-time winner in 2018. After last week, you and I had a long conversation yesterday. You said I was crushed last week because I felt like I finally had done everything right. His son Alex walking in here. High five for him. Here's Abby, his daughter. What a great family moment. How did you overcome the emotion of last week, the disappointment of last week to get to victory lane this week, Aric?
I just shook it off. I knew I had to be patient. I felt like God was telling me to just be patient and it was going to come.
Clint Boyer coming in for a hug. Stewart-Haas cars work so well together all afternoon long.
Man, what a team effort. Stewart-Haas Racing, all 4 of us just dominated. It was us against the world today. And what a team effort. Everybody at Stewart-Haas Racing, Ford Performance, Roush Yates Engine, Smithfield. What a cool paint scheme. This bacon for life. Somebody's going to win bacon for the rest of their life. Vobel 1, Haas CNC, Gene and Tony for giving me this awesome opportunity. Go Bowling, Shady Rays, Sunglasses, Wheels Up. I hope they wait on me to take me home tonight. I'm flying home with Paul, and he gave me a good push there at the end, so hopefully he waits on me and doesn't leave me.
We described you as being a good soldier all day long. You sat there in fourth. Do you think that at the end of the day is what saved enough fuel to be able to win this race?
I think so. Johnny was really on me from the time we left pit road about save, and I was doing my part, doing the team thing, running there in line in third, fourth, and saving a ton of fuel, just really being patient patient with the throttle, running half throttle as long and as much as I could, and we had just enough fuel to finish the race, do some burnouts. I think we had plenty of gas left, so I must have saved quite a bit.
What was your reaction when you saw Kurt, your teammate, slowing off turn 4 when he ran out of fuel and you realized we're going to win this thing?
Well, I had a really good run anyway. When the 17 started to close on me, I just felt my RPMs were going way up, and I was getting a huge run back to Kurt, and I was going to make something happen anyway. We had done the team thing all day, and with half a lap to go, the team thing was over. We were going to race for a win, and I got to his outside, and about the time I got to his outside, I heard his engine sputtering, and then at that point, I knew I just had to hold off the 17 and the 21 that were coming. So what an awesome day. What an awesome day for Ford. Doug Yates, what an incredible engine. All of us Fords, man, we were rallying up there at the front. Nobody could do anything with us. So just so proud of this team. I've come so close so many times and felt like I kept giving it away. And I was so disappointed for all these guys behind me because they're awesome. They're the best. I'm with the best team in the garage. And I felt like I kept letting them down, not winning a race. And today, the good Lord was shining on us, and we went to victory lane. We did it, finally.
He didn't let him down today, Rick, did he? He wins here and into the round of 8 for Aric Almirola.
Yeah, so now there's 2 names as we look at the playoff leaderboard. 2 names that are in yellow, Aric Almirola, Chase Elliott. Both of them advanced because of the wins. Now it becomes points. And Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, those 2 have been a part of the Big 3. Well, one of the other drivers that was a part of the Big 3, Martin Truex Jr., now only 18 points above the cutoff line. Brad Keselowski, who had put his name right there in the mix of being who's going to make it to Miami as part of the 4, Brad Keselowski now is going to be fighting just to make it into the round of 8.
Yeah, Brad finished 27th and got 0 stage points today, so a big hurt for him on points. Blaney, he finished back there also. He finished in 29th. He did get 10 stage points. That helped him, but still a lot of ground to make up for Blaney.
Yeah, Truex was having trouble all day long and was kind of outside the bubble most of the afternoon. Really gets lucky at the end of this race with all the problems people were having with the fuel mileage. Ends up leaving here plus 18. I think he'll take that after the day he had.